This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, and welcome to the dawn. Welcome to another morning here in the Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands, where we are looking at the sun in the distance behind a blanket of clouds. It's a beautiful morning. Hello everybody, welcome on board. Now this morning we are going to do a bit of a tracking bumble just to see who's come in and who's gone out, and so then we can put our efforts into a little bit more of a search, and obviously once you've done some tracking we'll take it from there, because the tracking can reveal many things that we might find in the morning, like reading the morning newspaper. And Tristan is also out and about, and he's going to be heading down towards Chitwa to follow up on some activity from last night. Tess is going to be following up on some lions in Ngala. Moritz in Tswalo is going to be out, hopefully trying to track down his lions as well. And Grant is out in Pinda, hoping he's going to find some of the leopards that he saw yesterday. And we track you, we welcome you on board your live African safari. Welcome back on board, everybody. Apologies for the microphone. It seems to have displaced itself somewhere down my back. Hopefully that is a lot better. Good morning to the dawn, where it is a wonderful 22 degrees Celsius, 71 degrees Fahrenheit. There is a potential of 24% precipitation this morning. Welcome on board, Wendy. Welcome aboard the western fringes of Djuma. And my name is Steve Falconbridge, joined by Paul on camera. And as always, very excited to have you with us on board. And it is a wonderful day. Who knows what we might find this morning? As I said, we're going to be checking to see what is coming about. Heard Tristan on the radio before he's checked Diana Den. No one is home. And if you have any questions, please send them through to #WildEarth on Twitter. Throw them in on the YouTube chat stream using the all-important @FC. If you are under the age of 18, please get your parents or guardians to send through questions to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. And don't forget, you can also register on the website. Head over to the live safari page where you can submit your questions there. We're wishing you a beautiful morning. And as discussed yesterday, we're hoping to do some videos of solace, finding solace in nature. For those of you who missed yesterday, Emily Wallington's come up with a very nice idea with regards to basically how is it that you have found solace in these hard times. Have you got a garden you go to? Is there a pool, a pond, a stream, somewhere that you go out and enjoy nature, something that brings you back to center? And in these very interesting times, it's very important to help others who may be feeling lots of stress and anxiety about what is going on in the world today. As you know, many people are locked down and the world is very fearful. So if you found any solace in nature, please would you take a video, a horizontal video of yourselves, the scene, the area, talking about what you've done to help yourself sort of maintain a little bit of solace in nature, and send them through. The simple purity of nature is infectious, and if you can send through videos of maybe your pond with some ducks, or maybe playing with your dog in the garden, whatever it might be, that gives you some joy, and hopefully will help other people to smile. So there's going to be a post sent out to discuss it, but you can send through the videos to #WildEarth on Twitter, @WildEarth Live on Facebook, or @WildEarth Official on Instagram. We look forward to seeing your videos, and while we move on from this glorious morning, we're going to send you over to Tristan.
Well, as you can see, we've got a good start to our morning because we've come down towards Treehouse Dam and there's this beautiful view of Ellie's kind of drinking on the edge of the water. Very, very relaxing and kind of peaceful, with a little few white-faced whistling ducks flying past, and a kind of just a generally nice, relaxed mood at the dam itself. We did check the hyena den for the third time in a row, and still not active, and no fresh tracks either. So I don't know if maybe the den has moved, but I haven't found a fresh track at that den now for 3 days, which is weird. I would have thought after the rain that we had this morning, we would have seen some sort of sign of them, but all the roads leading to the den have got 0 tracks on them from last night. I forgot also to mention who's on camera. I've got Theo on camera. Sorry, Theo. Theo's feeling a little bit better, but I forgot completely. I was so busy kind of talking about hyenas that I forgot. Sorry, Theo. Anyway, so we just came from the kind of den itself, but like I say, there's no tracks there to speak of. There's no indication even that there's been hyenas there during the course of the night, which is interesting. So we'll just see. I'll try again tomorrow morning early. I find mornings at hyena dens often easier to work out what's happening and whether or not they have moved, because tracking becomes a lot easier in the morning periods than it does in the afternoon. You can see tracks a lot easier from the night before, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully they are still around. There's lots of tracks that have been kind of moving around on Weaver's Nest area, but like I said, nothing at the den itself. No nice clean fresh tracks, and after the rain that we had this morning, everything that was there has all been washed away. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be like I say, an interesting few days to see whether or not it has moved. And if it has moved, then it's the kind of whole process of trying to figure out where it's gone. It's not exactly that easy at this time of the year because patterns of tracks going in and out of blocks are not as easy to determine. In the winter months, finding den sites is a lot easier, just because you can see there's a traffic kind of develops in a certain game path off the road, then you know, okay, this is somewhere where they're using a lot. So most of the herd of Ellie's has actually left. They were here when we got here. It was a kind of grouping of about 15 individuals, and this is all the young males that have started to come down after the herd is left. So it's mostly youngsters, and I'm hoping that they're going to have a little swim. Looks like it's that time of the day where these two bulls, and particularly on the right, are looking like they're going to be naughty, and going to go for a little, there we go, morning bathe. Gotta be one of my favorite things to watch is when Ellie's decide it's swim time. Such a pity there's no sunrise today because of the cloud cover, because otherwise we would have the most magnificent light on these guys at the moment. You hear all the grumbles. Actually, one of the best parts about them swimming is just listening to them, so I'm not going to be saying too much for now, so you guys can hear the kind of splashing and groans and grumbles that take place when they do swim. quite commonplace to see males sort of mounting the back of other males, particularly when they're swimming. It's just all part and parcel of playing and kind of dominating each other and practicing how to sort of push each other around, and then it will develop sort of social skills as well as various sort of muscles as they start to kind of learn about not only fighting with one another, but sometimes it's even part of kind of mating and those kinds of things. They learn how it all works by playing around like this. It's my favorite when they kind of put their heads up. Marianne, I think you and a lot of others enjoy those grumbling sounds. I'm also a huge fan of them. There's something about sitting in a herd of elephants and then you just listen and these grumbles just go, and these kind of, it's sort of, because of the lowness of the sound, it almost seems like it kind of pulsates through you. It's a weird kind of feeling, but it's one of my favorite things about Ellies. Is just the communication and the noises that they do make, and being in amongst a herd that is very vocal is something that very few people will ever forget. When they're swimming like this, they're actually not as vocal as when they're out of the water, unless of course there's babies with moms in the water itself. So if they come and swim, then it actually can be quite loud, because the babies themselves make quite a bit of noise, and the moms are constantly talking to the babies and just making sure they're all right. But most of the herd, like I say, has departed. They've gone up the slope to the marulas, where they're just feeding at the moment. So maybe we'll hear some communication from them telling these guys, hurry up, it's time to catch up. There are more elephants that were around the hyena den that are slowly kind of moving in this direction. So I don't know if it's the same herd, or if it's more just young bulls like this that is trailing the herd itself, in the hope to just try and mate with maybe some of the females we know here. You see they're starting to arrive now. Young bulls particularly. And maybe they're just trailing in the hope that they can maybe get a mating chance. But all of these bulls are way too young and small to really have a chance. There's some bigger bulls that are around that will far more likely to engage in mating than these guys. There's one of the little babies I can hear that's part of the herd far from us. It's screaming. Often here when they want milk, they make an awful racket to their mothers when mom won't let them drink. Rex, I've never seen them drink with their mouth in deep water. It's always with their trunk. They always kind of suck up, and even if they're kind of standing chest deep in water. And I expect that that's just because they can control the amount of water they're taking in. If they go into deeper water and kind of open their mouth and just start drinking, I'd imagine they take on a serious amount given how big their mouths actually are. And I'm sure when they play fighting like this, water is getting into their mouth all the time and kind of down and utilized. But when they're actually wanting to drink, you can see this individual now, he could wade further and drink without his trunk, the one on the right-hand side. But he's kind of waded to sort of his tummy, and he's still using his trunk to actually drink. They're quite finicky drinkers. They like to have certain water quality, and so often from drinking just with their mouth on the surface, you're going to find that they're going to pick up a lot of debris from the surface film. So they're going to get lots of dust and insects and all the kind of things that is trapped on that surface film. Whereas with their trunk, they can break the surface film, get their trunk in there, and they can suck up their right amount of water and then kind of push it into their mouths from there. So nose, I've never really seen them practice it. If you go into like places like the Chobe River, the elephants are like this pretty much all day long in the dry season. There's ellies in all the water, and I've never seen them there drinking like that. So it's always with the trunk. And often what you find when you see this kind of behavior is that they drink first and then play. What they're doing now has got really nothing to do with sustaining their bodies. This is all just to cool down and enrichment for their brains, essentially. Swimming is a vital part of, like I say, the cooling down process. You know, when they're in water like this, they can bring their body temperatures right down. Even though on a morning like this morning, where it's not actually that hot, it's still kind of, easier than going and picking up trunkfuls of mud and trying to throw it on yourself. It's just go into this kind of big dam and cool off pretty quickly. And then, like I say, there's the enrichment side of it, which is, it's good for their brains. It's playing, it's kind of social interactions. So those are all good parts of a young elephant's development. So Zach, a lot of it will depend on weather conditions and how hot it is, but most of the time these guys will be drinking about 100 liters if they're adults, 100 liters, 150 liters if they're really kind of parched and they've come a long way to find water. So it's a serious amount when we kind of think about it. So if you had to take like 75 Coke bottles and put them down, you start to understand how much water that really is. But yeah, that's their kind of daily intake. Sometimes they'll drink as much as 100 liters in one go. Like I say, those elephants that occur in areas that are very dry, so if you had to take, let's say, the Botswana and salt pan areas, some of those ellies go there specifically because of the mineral content that they're getting from the soils there. And they'll walk massive distances every day from the Bateti River southwards into the salt pans, just in order to get that nutrients. But like I say, when they walk and eventually find water, because water's hard to come by, they'll drink heavy amounts, and you get these congregations of these bulls. Often in the afternoons, they start to arrive and they kind of drink, and then you see them in the evenings departing back to go and feed wherever it is that they have found the food source out of the salt pans themselves. Jerry, it's not huge. I mean, they're actually being quite gentle for their size. If you look when they come together, it's not a full kind of head bang. It's just a slow push into one another. So they're quite mindful of what they're doing, and they're trying not to hurt each other. It's more just to play. Every now and then you'll find a young bull with a little nick on his trunk from another tusk, which is not meant to happen, but it does every now and then. The boys start to roughhouse too much and end up hurting one another. So yeah, it does happen, but it's not a common thing. They at the end of the day, when they're playing like this, they are quite gentle. And if one is starting to feel like he's being hurt, you'll see how he just kind of backs off a little bit and doesn't carry on with the pushing. So you see it's kind of slow push, and then they decide, okay, no, I'm good. And everything sort of sorts itself out. must admit, there's few things that are as joyous as watching Ellies having a swim. They look like they have the best time. Sunlight, which might be very pretty. It should make their skins kind of glow a little bit more orange. These clouds are just starting to part now. Sounds like more Ellies are on their way. You can hear breaking of branches on both sides of the dam, so the ones that have left already, and it sounds like more coming from the hyena den side. Maybe that's why there's no hyenas around. It's just lots of Ellies who are at the den today, and they just kind of got pushed off. I don't know. It's possible, actually. Although we would have seen tracks for them, I'm sure. Except that the rain was not long ago. The rain was only about 2.5 hours ago. So, you know, that means that the hyenas could have been there during the night, but with the little rain that we had, it's kind of pushed it off. But here comes that little sunrise glow. You can just see the colours starting to pick up on their bodies. And there's a kind of a little bit of an orangey yellow glow now starting to catch on the highlights where their skin is wet. Very, very pretty. You know what, I'm going to just try and move us quickly because I actually think we can get a really cool view of these guys and a little bit lower eye level. Because we're up on the dam wall at the moment, so you can see the light that's coming through now is this beautiful, soft morning light. Really, really pretty. Now, don't go away, boys. It should settle down once we get down to the bottom here. The light is beautiful. There we go. I think that's much better. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Kind of golden morning light with the greens and the blues of the actual of the water and the sort of summer grass makes for a very, very pretty backdrop to these guys having a good swim. That swim over just as the light started to fade again. Are you guys going to come and chase the Egyptian geese? Nope, swim's not over. We're still busy. How amazing was that? Just the audio alone, super cool. All right, we're going to carry on enjoying these guys. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Ngala so they can say good morning.
So, I cannot believe what I'm seeing here at And Beyond Ngala. This is the Makoti male, and I personally have not seen him in almost a year now. And he's been gone for a few months, and here he sits, having a little rest right in front of us here, which is overly exciting for me. So my name is Tessa. I'm going to be your guide this morning at And Beyond Ngala. Behind the camera, we have Sebastian this morning, and we are really, really excited to sit with Makoti male for a while and just see what happens. So he looks like he's having a really nice nap in the long grass there. You can see how tough it actually is to spot him from here. And it's just unbelievable to me that I have not seen him in so long. And I know a lot of people have been asking, you've been asking if Makoti's been seen, where he has been. And we have not seen him in a really long time here at And Beyond Ngala. He's actually moved off into the Kruger National Park side, the self-drive part of the park. And he's actually on our eastern boundary right now, having his snooze. He has gotten so big. I can't even tell you how different he looks to what I remember. He's gotten muscular. And he is beautiful. I think he's really enjoying the weather. You can see the grass is blowing around him. So we've got a nice light breeze here this morning. It's nice and cool. We're only expecting a high in the low 20s today in Celsius. So I think he's really enjoying the opportunity to just relax a little bit, not having to worry about finding shade. And what we're actually thinking is we are incredibly close to where I saw the Birmingham Pride stealing an impala carcass out of a tree last night. It's actually just behind where I'm parked at the moment in a clearing. And so I'm thinking maybe it was his kill that they stole. I'm not actually 100% sure why he left. I would think it would be because of the territorial behavior of male leopards. And with his father also not being seen for months, there are other male leopards that will move into the area. We've got another young male that we've been seeing in a similar area. And so maybe he just felt like he should expand a bit further to the east. So the way that we actually recognized him was using a pattern on his face. Anna Marie, I cannot agree with you more. It is a great, great, great start to my day. And I'm very excited that it's Makoti of all leopards. You know, it's always such an honor to see a leopard. But for me to see Makoti is... oh, I can't even describe it. He is by far my favorite leopard. We've been following him for months since his mother died. We've been really concerned, and he just blossomed, and he's done so well. And we weren't really sure if we'd ever see him again. But we actually recognized him using the spots on his face. He's got a very particular spot pattern around his eyebrows. And we know it so well because we spent so much time with him and his young brother after their mother died. You could see his ears are actually still moving a little bit. So he's definitely awake. He's listening to what we're doing, listening for sounds around us. Actually, I'm really, really hoping that he decides to move around a little bit this morning, because I'd love to see how big he's gotten when he's actually standing up. But just kind of comparing what he used to look like even the last time we saw him here with Wild Earth, He's gotten a lot wider and more muscular. You can see those ears moving forwards and backwards. Our grass is incredibly long here at the moment. The vegetation is very thick and dense. So we're actually very, very lucky that we actually managed to find him in a little gap where he's lying, where we can actually see him. But I'm definitely going to sit here for a while longer. I'm really hoping he gets up and starts moving. And I'll be waiting to see how much bigger he has gotten.
Good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful morning here at Twala Kalahari. Guys, so our plans this morning was actually a little changed due to a surprise. So we were going to go to the hyena den and have a look if the cubs are out and all of those things. And then all of a sudden, our meerkat habituator, Veronique, called me on the radio and said, the dogs are close by. So she had them. She's busy trying to keep up with them, but I think she's lost them momentarily now. However, they're moving in our direction, so obviously whenever there's dogs close by, the plans do tend to change. Regardless of that, guys, my name is Moritz. Behind the camera, we've got Craig. And so, yeah, we're going to have a look and see if we can find them and see what they're up to. And then hopefully, potentially be able to have a nice sighting with them. They also, just after that, found the two cheetah males, which were maybe 300 meters from where they found the dogs. So there's a lot of potential for the morning. We'll have to have a look and see what we do find, because as you can imagine, those dogs, when they are really active, it's difficult to keep up, even in this open terrain sometimes. So we'll definitely go and have a look and see if they don't want to hunt, give us a show. If not, then we'll have to see what the morning has to offer. Maybe those cheetahs are up to something or so, but I'm hoping that we can relocate on the wild dogs. So yeah, that's the plan for the morning. If for some reason all of them vanish, they grow wings and disappear, we'll still go back to the hyena den and see if there's something happening there. But yeah, it's always great to have your plans changed when the animals are just popping out everywhere. So yeah, for the time being, guys, while we're heading towards the docks, or where the dogs were seen, we're going to send you over to Ngala. If we find something, we'll come back here, okay?
could not agree more. It is so magical when your plans change. We're back here at And Beyond Ngala with the Makoti male having a nice little groom and starting to chomp on some grass. And look at the size of him. His shoulders are massive. So we actually came down this direction looking for the wild dogs as well this morning. And actually we saw some tracks of them on the road on the way to him. And I'm just so happy that our plans changed to include this beautiful leopard. Oh, wow. We're actually starting to get a nice light drizzle here at the moment, so he's definitely going to start moving around a bit more today in this rain. But look how he's chomping on that grass. You can see how he's using his tongue to kind of scoop it into his mouth. He's chewing on it. So that might be that maybe he's feeling a little bit like he's got some indigestion. And so he's trying to get some more roughage, some more fiber in. But I definitely think it was his kill that they stole. I did notice he's got some new scars on him, which is really interesting. I would love to know what he's been through in the last year that I haven't seen him. Some of the other rangers here have seen him once or twice, maybe about 10 months ago, and then he just disappeared. Oh, wow. Look at that distinct section of 5 spots on his collar. That black stripe. Debbie, this young male is getting close to 3 years old now. And the last time I saw him, he was just about to turn 2 years old. So he is starting to get to that point now where he is becoming very territorial. He's really increased in size. And so I'm hoping that he's going to stay in this territory. He certainly looks big enough to take on other male leopards at this size. And I think he has, because when he stood up earlier, he had a few new scars down his chest. And he's got 1 or 2 on his nose, which are new as well. Look at him sniffing into the wind there, listening out. I don't think it's sunk in yet that I'm seeing Makoti male. I can't believe it. I didn't ever think I'd see him again. Have a look at how he's just licking ever so lightly there. And he's listening quite intently in our direction, actually. So another game viewer has just pulled in. So I think he's watching to see what happens. And look how beautiful he is in that grass. You can see how thick his neck is. And I actually wonder what he's going to do for the rest of the day, because the rest of his food has been stolen. So he'll probably have to go and find some more at some point. And it's perfect weather for him to get active just now and start hunting. Leopards in particular love overcast weather or windy weather, even light drizzle like it is now, because it covers the scent and the sound of their approach. They've got a lot more energy. It's not hot. And so if he comes across some impalas or something like that, he might actually take the chance to get himself some food back after the lions stole it yesterday. I love how carefully he's listening. Sir 50, yes, he has one of the most beautiful spot patterns I've seen. You can see he's got quite dense spots on his eyebrows. That's how we recognize him, just above the eye on each side. And his necklace as well, that stripe almost around the bottom of his neck there in the front. His is also quite distinct. It's not individual spots, but he's actually got a few that have joined together to make longer stripes around the necklace. And to me, he's always been the most beautiful leopard. He's almost starting to have another snooze now. Maybe the drizzle is putting him to sleep a bit. You can see it's a very light breeze that's blowing past him, so it's actually perfect conditions for him this morning. So I'd actually be very interested to see where he goes from here, because with the new males in the territory, we don't know how far east his territory goes. It's really nice to actually see that he is around this section of and beyond Ngala. But we don't know how far east he's been going and how far north he's been going, so we don't know exactly where the boundaries of his territory are. I think it would be so amazing to be able to almost follow him and see where he goes from here, and in the next few weeks learn a bit more about his new territory. But it's incredible how much we kind of almost form a bond with these animals, because as soon as it was discovered that this is the beautiful Makoti male, everyone wants to come and have a look today because we haven't seen him in so long. So I'm definitely going to sit here for a little while longer. I'm hoping he's going to get up later when he's done snoozing, and I'm going to send you over to Tristan.
Well, talking about bonds with animals, we're starting to bond with this little fella a lot more than we have in the past, that's for sure. It's been really, really nice to see how much he's developed and how kind of he's started to relax around vehicles. And we came to the same spot we left him yesterday, just in the hope that maybe they were still here. And sure enough, he's lying on top of his rock, having a little nap. And funny enough, he was under the tree and he came out just to see who it was. He was like, let me see who's here. Okay, it's you guys, all good. I'm going to go back to sleep now and have a little nap. I don't know if Mom is here. I wonder if she might be around. It's very possible that she's here. But either way, it doesn't matter. That's as good a view as we could get of Tandi's little one. Given the kind of place that he's sitting, I was hoping we'd get him on the rocks, because yesterday when we had him on the rocks, the light was just really shabby, whereas this morning it's a lot brighter. It's just a lot prettier to see him. Boy, are you sleepy? Has it been a long night? Like I said, I'm not sure if Mom is here. She might be. I didn't see any tracks when we were on our way in of her leaving. I suppose she could have left last night and we maybe drove over them. I didn't go the way that I came. Is there another tail up there? That's what we got to look for. What are you doing? The flies are irritating him. So between tail, paw, ears and mouth, there's much chasing going on. Cute though. We're having an absolutely bumper morning this morning. Now I was going to come. Now you've got a stick. Is that your stick? Are you going to play with it? Okay, you take your stick under your tree and go play. Let's see if he comes back out. Just see him kind of moving around up there. No, he's decided that's where he's going to sit and play with his little stick. I'm going to go forward a little bit, just see if we can get a slightly better view in underneath the tree. We should be able to. It's starting to rain all of a sudden, which is very odd given we have clear skies above us. And he's still under the care of his mother, so there's zero chance of him mating as yet. He's not even a year old. So male leopards typically only kind of get territories at around 4 to 5 years old. There are the exceptions, obviously. We know that with the forms of Tumba and some of the others, but they don't kind of just fall into the lap of a territory and a whole bunch of females. At this size here, if he were to try and compete for females, he's going to get eaten. Most males would dispatch him pretty quickly if they were to come across him, so he's got to be careful of other males. And that drive to mate is not even there yet. Hasn't even gone through adolescence. It's like, to equate this to a human lifespan, this is like a 4 or 5 year old boy at the moment. He's nowhere near ready for mating or anything like that. You can't sit still today, can you? Little character, isn't he? This is what boredom looks like when mom leaves you on your own. Like I say, I don't see her here, and if she was here, I would imagine that he would have been going like back and forth to her like he was yesterday afternoon. So he goes and plays and does his own thing, then gets bored and then goes to try and find her. What are you doing? You are being a proper silly sausage this morning. I can see he's going to be intrigued, and he's going to eventually come down and say hello properly. It seems like that. Yesterday he was like this. He late in the afternoon started coming up to the cars and looking at them, and then walking back to mom, then coming back to the cars, as though he's just kind of wanted somebody to play with. And every time he went to mom, she would just hiss and growl and snap at him. So then he would come to us, and obviously we just sit and look at him. So then he's like, well, that's no fun. So he was, I think, all over the show trying to figure out, who was going to be the best entertainment. But at least up there, he's got some sticks and leaves and insects that are bothering him. So lots of different things to keep him entertained. All right, I'm going to try and see if I can just get a slightly better view than what we've got right now. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Pinda to say good morning.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Ambion Pinda Private Game Reserve. We found some unlikely animal friends here. These two warthogs are following this big giraffe bull around. You might hear that beautiful whistling sound. That's the gorgeous bushrock, which we had an amazing view of a couple of minutes ago, and we actually framed it up, and as we managed to get the camera on it, of course it disappeared. So my name is Grant, and behind the camera is Glenn, and this morning we started by looking for the female leopard that we saw briefly last night. Just went to check where she was last seen. There was no sign of her though, and so we've come to sit at a little watering hole just to see what else might be around. And I thought what we might do this morning is head towards the floodplain in the far eastern side of Pinda and see if we can try and find those 5 orphaned cheetah. So for those of you that are with us regularly, you might remember the 5 young cheetah that are on their own, that are about 10 months old now. They are still doing well, but yesterday we didn't see them. So this morning I thought it would be quite nice for us to go and see if we can find them again. A Nyala bull. A really nice Nyala bull, just grazing. Looks like maybe slowly heading towards the water. And you'll see numerous different bird species along the edge of the water. There's some water thickneys, black-winged stilts. There's some white-faced whistling ducks. got some common sandpipers, wood sandpipers, little stints, 3-banded plovers. There's a big yellow-billed stork as well, some Egyptian geese at the back. There's not too much happening at this waterhole, other than, of course, the stunning bird life. I think Glenn and I are going to move on from here. I'm going to send you to Steve.
There you go, Grant. Go find those fast cats. Well, everybody, we've come to the Twin Dams weaver nest site. And it's not very busy here. A lot of the females have already found their nests that they're happy with. And so there's just a few males sort of standing by thinking to themselves, should we start building again? Or should we just be excited with what we've achieved so far? Remember, we discussed that these communities are built in areas of high resources, so definitely over a bit of water as well for safety, but the resources need to be quite high because the females have to provide and provision enough food for themselves and for their chicks. And bearing in mind, a number of these nests will have Deirdre's cuckoo chicks in them. Not all of them. The Deirdre's cuckoo will have moved into one or two and dropped a few eggs. It's just egg dropping. They just drop them. Obviously, not all of them will even pass the scrutiny or get past the scrutiny of some of the females, but some of them do, and that's how the Deirdre's cuckoo perpetuates its lineage. So there are definitely two species of weaver in this colony. We've got the village and the lesser masked. Very drab ones going into the nest currently are females. Megan, you admire the dedication these birds have for their craft. Well, indeed, it is quite an art, isn't it? Can you imagine doing that with your face? Remember, everybody, birds' beaks are their fingers, their hands and fingers. And the weavers use their beaks for doing the weaving. So it's a very, very intricate process. Watching them do it is really quite special to see. I can hear Deirdre's cuckoo in the distance. And such a wonderful sound of summer. We actually watched the Deirdre's cuckoo around this time last year. The female moves into the colony and the male gets very, very noisy and vociferous and hangs around, and he causes the weavers to chase him because they know what he's about. They chase him, and while no one's looking, his girlfriend sneaks in and lays eggs. Very cheeky. That's why that movie, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, has always been such an interesting saying for me, because cuckoos don't have nests, everybody. They would not survive if it were not for the dedication of their host species. There is the village weaver. There's a little shaking of the wings. You see, he's got a very streaky back. and the mask on his face just touches the top of his beak. There we go. As a female's just gone into the nest. He's very happy. He's going, that's my nest. I built that. So basically, he's done the hard work. Now he can just sit around and watch. Build the home and she will come, if it is a suitable home, that is. And she's in there busy feeding the chicks right now, or incubating. I think it's probably at that stage where the incubation is taking place, or the eggs have hatched, but it's hard to say. The male does no incubation at all. It's all the female, so she needs to feed and then come back and incubate. Feed, come back and incubate, and once the chicks hatch, she has to constantly feed them while he just watches. Grooms himself, makes himself look pretty, maybe builds another nest. Another village weaver. Definitely seems like the ferocity of the early breeding season has petered out in this colony. Spent time with the colony at Buffelshoek Dam the other day, and they were still extremely busy, still lots of building going on. Yeah, it seems as if the real estate has all taken place. Let's quickly send you over to Ngala.
So I had this feeling today that here we were going to find the wild dogs on and beyond Ngala, and as I came around the corner, here is the Ngala pack coming straight towards the car. It is such a good morning for me right now. My two favorites, my Coati male and the pack of wild dogs. And these are still some of the pups that are in front of the car. They're literally running all around the car right now. And I'm definitely following them. I'm so happy. Oh, I can smell the wild dogs. So I know a lot of people think the smell is a bit bad. I love the smell. That mix of wet dog and urine, that means wild dogs, is one of my favorite smells in history because I know what it means. And look at that, a whole pack of wild dogs running down the road in front of me. And those white tails and that little trot that they have going. Oh, I'm freaking out this morning. This is amazing. You can see the pups are still a little bit smaller. But it is amazing how much they've grown. I haven't seen this pack in about 2 months. Oh my goodness. They're sniffing the ground. There's been a lot of hyenas around here because, again, we're very close to where the lions were yesterday, stealing that carcass. So they can smell hyenas, they can smell lions, they can possibly smell Coati male. So I'm going to get us a little bit closer. Oh, this is insane. Linda, I know I love puppies and it is absolutely amazing to see them. We have not seen them in so long. And it's always, always fun to see the wild dogs because they're always doing something. They're moving, they're sniffing, and the pups tend to start playing in between all of their activities of running around after the parents and the adults of the pack. So they're moving so much, I actually haven't managed to do a full head count of them yet. But it's a pretty big pack of wild dogs. And you can see quite a lot of them have similar markings above their tails. They have like a white stripe above their tails, some of the adults. And the pups are actually quite dark. They don't have as many white markings as the adults of this pack. But I think what they're doing is they're actually heading towards a clearing at the moment where impalas normally sleep. They don't look like they're hunting, they look like they're sniffing around. But the thing with wild dogs is, as soon as they see something, they can start hunting straight away because they've got that speed and stamina that none of the other predators have. So they could hunt a herd of impalas in a clearing where they've clearly been seen. And it won't matter because they can outrun those impalas. They can keep going longer than the impalas can. Absolutely incredible. So we've got another vehicle that's coming over to have a look. We're going to keep up with them as well. It has definitely been my favorite morning in a long time. Tony, it is a massive day at Ngala, and particularly so for me. Seeing my favorites is always something that makes your day. And for me, I feel like this has made my week, maybe even my month. My Corti male has definitely made my day. And then finding the wild dogs as we're coming around the corner. I just had that feeling today. So they're actually starting to cut off back east into the block to that clearing. Jai, to find the leader of a wild dog pack, you would look at the dominant pair, the alpha pair, and the way that you would find those two is they're normally running towards the front of the pack, and they'll be the ones that discipline the pups most often because they are the parents of the pups. They are usually the only ones that are allowed to have pups. And you also see that there'll be some dominance displays from them. They might be the first ones to scent mark. And when they go up to the other dogs, you'll see that the other members of the pack will submit to them. So they might lie on their backs, but they might also go and lick around the alphas' mouths. And that is a clear sign in dogs of submitting, is licking another wild dog on its mouth. The more dominant one would be licked on its mouth. And what's really nice with wild dogs is they all have such distinct patterns that you can usually tell once you've figured out which ones are the dominants. It can be fairly easy to tell the different individuals apart from then. But of course, this is always subject to change. Wild dogs do have overthrows of dominance. And upcoming females in the pack might move off to create new packs. And then they might become the alpha of that pack. So they definitely look like they're moving around. They almost look like they're starting to split up a little bit, which might mean that they've maybe got the scent of an impala. And so they're splitting up, which is typical for wild dogs. It's their way of hunting, is moving really fast and splitting up to surround something. So I've actually still got quite a few of them off to my front right that almost look like pups, that are waiting to see what the adults are going to do. And in this long grass, there you can see it's almost just their ears and their heads that stick out. One or two of them are actually lying down. So it's almost like they're thinking about what they're going to do next. And there they're starting to move. I love it. It's just constant activity with wild dogs. And when they start running, it is so much fun to keep up with them and see what they're doing. So I'm definitely going to sit here for a while. I'm going to go around and see if I can get a better view on the other side. And hopefully these wild dogs bring me some action this morning, but I'm excited to see what happens.
Look at this. The little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, Corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature. My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
For the month of January 2021, we are offering a chance to win a unique Wild Earth expedition to the magnificent Tswalu Kalahari. From the ancient Kortai's Koranenberg Mountains to the southern Kalahari's Red Sand Dunes, Tswalu offers what travelers crave most: space and time. The winner will explore this landscape in a vehicle, on foot, or on horseback, with a chance to go behind the scenes with Wild Earth and of course meet the meerkats. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend at the luxury Motse Lodge, including flights from either Johannesburg or Cape Town. Open to all Wild Earth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
Well, as you can see, our little cub has grown tired of us and has now gone for a little nap on top of one of the rocks. The visual's not that great. He came out and said hello for like 2 minutes and then just decided, nope, I'm done posing nicely for you, and then back up onto the rocks. Interestingly enough, though, his mom isn't here, but we heard impalas shouting very close by, so I'm hoping she's on her way back and we'll get the kind of reunion of her joining back up with him. You never know, maybe she's even got a kill that she'll take him and us to. I don't know. It could also be another leopard, but it was not far away. It sounded like on the open area in front of Chitwa Dam, which we know Thandi uses quite a lot. She's often hunting just on the sort of northern fringe of that open clearing, which is roughly where it sounded like those alarm calls were coming. So we'll just wait and see. He is so bored at the moment. He doesn't really know what to do with himself. He's kind of up, down, never really resting for very long periods of time, and seems to constantly be kind of trying to find something to entertain him. So anything that comes along, whether it be a little sort of wind that blows or a grass that moves, he goes and investigates. He's full of beans this morning. It also started to rain a little bit, which is why he went into that thicket. He was lying beautifully out on one of the rocks, and we had this weird little downpour of rain, which we're having again now. It's like these drifting showers that are coming through. They don't rain for long, but it's enough to kind of disrupt him and get him to go in under more dense, kind of thicker vegetation. Pretty, though. He's made me laugh this morning because, like I say, I think he's obviously been hoping that Mom would be around, and so every time a vehicle comes along, I think he thinks Mom is coming with it, and so he kind of comes out and just looks, and then he's like, oh wait, Mom isn't here, and then goes off and does his own thing. So every time we start, he pays attention to what we're doing. All right, well, we'll sit with him for the morning. I'm going to spend quite a bit of time with him. In the meantime, let's send you across to the puppies at Ingala.
So we have managed to keep up with the wild dogs thus far. I've got the whole pack in front of me here in the grass. And they're almost thinking in this clearing what they're doing. There's a few of them that have scent marked. And this is typical for when wild dogs are starting to hunt. You can see they're being a little bit slower than they were just trotting down the road. They've got their noses down, they're listening really carefully. And when they're moving slowly like this, it's so that they're hoping that they can bump into something like a herd of impalas. Something gave them a fright. Aren't they beautiful in the sunlight? And everyone's straight back. They're kind of almost starting to circle around these bushes. And it looks like there's at least still 8 of the pups that I've managed to count. But I still haven't managed to count all of them yet. There's just so many. Beautiful. Oh, Catriona, I'm so glad I get to share that experience with you, that it's your first time seeing wild dogs. It's really, really mind-blowing, and it's something that I'll never forget. Growing up visiting the Kruger National Park almost every winter with my family, wild dogs have always been my favorite, and so every time we saw them, every time is so special. So it's quite an honor for me to share that experience with you of your first time seeing wild dogs. I think it's something that no matter how many times you see, you never get tired. Okay, they're actually coming back through into this clearing now. We've got a lot of them coming through on the right-hand side. And they're moving quite fast through this thicket at the moment. So to keep up with them is actually quite a fun adventure. You can see how thick the bush is in front of us. And we know that they're moving somewhere in here on the right. Hillside, yes, wild dogs are almost always in a pack. The only times you might see them on their own is if it's maybe younger females that are moving off to join another pack or start a breeding cycle with a new pack and become alphas. But wild dogs rely on being in a pack. They're very social animals, and they rely on having each other to hunt as well. They can hunt on their own. They are incredibly fast, but hunting in a pack and surviving in a pack is definitely much, much better for them, much more beneficial. Ooh, it's so thick in here. Where did they go? So the nice thing is, lucky for me, I'm not alone here. I've got Nikki and Rowan here as well on their own vehicles. And so the 3 of us hopefully will be able to keep up with these wild dogs and find them again in this thicket. You can see how thick it is in front of me. It's almost impossible to see just past this layer in front. But it shows you as well how fast these wild dogs move, that if you lose them for a second, it becomes quite difficult to keep up with them after that. But it's actually the first time that we've seen this pack on and beyond Ngala in a while, probably about a month now, because they move such far distances that they never really stay in one area unless they're denning, which means that they've chosen a denning site like a termite mound where they'll have their pups and then they'll stay in that area for a while. But if they're not denning for those 3 or 4 months, then they just disappear off the property. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and find them again with Nikki and Rowan, but I'm going to send you over to Pinda in the meanwhile.
I had a feeling these cheetah might pop out this morning, and it didn't take too much effort. And here they are, all lying actually in the road. And we're on the far northern end of the floodplain, which I had mentioned to you earlier. And so you'll see these cheetah lying nice and in the open, actually just enjoying the sun currently. And you'll see the area around them. It's quite nice and open, but then at the back there's a tree line, so we are on the edge of the floodplain. Now, for those of you that don't know, I'm referring to it as the floodplain because on Pinda there are 2 rivers, one that flows through the reserve from west to east, and then one that is our southeastern boundary. And where these two rivers meet is this low-lying grassland, which we are sitting on right now. And when those two rivers flow, this grassland that we're sitting on can flood. And there's two little African pipits that are hopping around the cheetah. Keeping an eye on them. And for those of you joining us with these cheetah for the first time, or seeing these cheetah for the first time, these are 5 young cheetah, around about 10 months at the moment. If you look at the back of their necks, you will see that they've got some scruffy, long, or not, I wouldn't say scruffy actually, I would say fluffy fur on the back of their neck. Which tells us that they are still quite young. And the story behind these cheetahs is that unfortunately their mom and one of their siblings was killed by lions about 5 months ago. And so when they were 5 months old, they had no mom. And at that age, were too young to survive on their own. Have a look at that one walking, Glenn, if you go onto it quite close. Look how big those hind feet are. You can see this cheetah's still got quite a lot of growing to do. Nice to see them sitting up like that. You might wonder what they are watching. There are some zebras that have just taken off. Now that the cheetah have sat up and or a couple of them have walked a few meters. It's quite something to see 5 cheetah. This little piggy, thanks for the question. So cheetah, I'm sure they would like to sleep as much as lions do, but remember cheetah are quite low down on the predator hierarchy, and they are threatened by a large number of other animals, so from other large predators to even large herbivores. And a female cheetah, for example, with some small cubs, she would be chased by zebras, zebra stallions, buffaloes, but of course she would also be, not for food, but she would also be killed by lions or leopard if they were able to get a hold of her. And so unfortunately, no, they don't sleep as long as lions do. And cheetahs spend actually most of the night awake and alert, looking out for danger. And because they know that the nocturnal animals are out and about at night. So they will get small little windows of sleep at night, but as the day goes on and as it starts to warm up, if they are not hunting, because remember cheetah are active during the day, their eyesight is not as good as lion and leopard at night. And so when if they haven't eaten, they will start hunting early in the morning or in the later afternoon into the evening before it gets too dark. And so if they have full bellies, then they will try to rest when they think that the nocturnal animals are sleeping. So remember, lions and leopards are active at night and tend to sleep in the day. And cheetah are aware of this, and so when they think that those lions and leopards are sleeping, then they might get a little bit of rest. But you have to consider that they'll only get rest in the day if they have a full belly. If if they don't have a full belly, then they'll spend the day hunting or looking for hunting opportunities. And with cheetah, I would say that, I don't think I've seen a cheetah get more than 5 minutes of uninterrupted sleep. They've developed this ability to sleep with their head at the 90-degree angle to the rest of their body, so that both of their ears are up, and so that they're able to... That one is trying to catch grasshoppers. No ways. And so these ones are, like I've already mentioned, they are still cubs. And so playing is still very much a part of their day. Playing with one another, and also being curious. They still have so much to learn. Everything around them is new. So a little grasshopper hopping away from them in the grass is something that they need to learn about. Something that they have to figure out that they don't, they're not going to prefer it as food. And it's pretty unsustainable to hunt or to try and catch tiny little grasshoppers. Oh, Robert, I'm so glad that you've got a new favorite cat. Cheetah have to be one of the most beautiful big cat, or not so big cat. I think out of the cats, cheetah might be the prettiest. They've got such elegant features. I love that swish of the tail as they walk. So I'm not going to go anywhere for now. Just sit and enjoy these cheetah. But I'm going to send you across to Tristan.
Well, as you can see, Ruben has just appeared on the scene. She's kind of walking up the bank gently. She's not walking well, but she's not bad as well. I've seen far worse. She came sniffing around in the rocks looking for Tandy's cub, but he's too busy sleeping in the grass. He's had the crazies. He was running up and down a tree here, just kind of generally being a delinquent, which maybe is what's attracted this hyena into the area. Maybe the hyena heard the alarm calls first and then heard him running up and down on the tree and thought there might be a kill here. Also, there'll be the scent of these leopards around. They had a kill yesterday morning not too far from here. So maybe that's what's attracting Ruben into the area, but she's disappeared up the bank now. I was just watching her because she was looking in this direction for a second, and then she just kind of crossed the riverbed and away, which is a good thing because there's actually not a huge amount of places for this cub to go here if Ruben was to come running at him. He doesn't have a lot of areas to maneuver. He's kind of moving away from what would be his sort of safety blanket, which is the rocks and the fallen over trees that he could jump up on. He's now kind of moving more into the riverbed itself. Where are you off to? Like I said, I think this is just boredom more than anything else. Or he just wants to come and say hello. So now we're going to sit right behind the car, of course. All right, let me just turn so we can actually see him properly. That's going to be a bit tricky. But there's lots and lots of hyena tracks that are all over this riverbed from last night. So there's definitely been quite a bit of hyena activity during the course of the evening, which is interesting because, you would think for a little cub like this that hyenas would be something that he'd be petrified about, but you can see now that he's got the ability to climb. His whole demeanor in terms of being able to kind of get away from hyenas means that he's not as worried about them. As long as he's got structure like rocks and trees, he can generally get away from them. Are you watching us? It's making me laugh. He's just kind of peering over the grass at the moment, watching what we're doing. You're being naughty this morning, aren't you? Just make out his ears over the top of the grass. He's kind of hiding there. Yesterday he was doing this to Tundi. Every time she moved, he would hide in the edge of this drainage line in the grass, and as soon as she'd come past, he'd jump on her head, and she was not impressed with that maneuver. She did not find it funny at all. So I don't know if maybe that's what he's trying to do now, is just to kind of play a little bit. There's actually an impala walking down in the background. It's run away very quickly. So I don't know if that's what it is, or like I said, I think he's just bored and looking for any sort of entertainment for himself. You can imagine as a young little male leopard, when he's left on his own devices, it's like leaving a young child to his own devices. They generally get up to something that they probably shouldn't be doing, but that's all part and parcel of life and learning. I don't know if I can actually get a better view of him from where I am right now. Let's try. Let's see if I can just reposition slightly. I just want to try go forward and just see if he maybe, just maybe, there's a little gap here that we can just see him. There we go. That's better. We can at least just see his little head poking out. So you happy there? Are the rocks not as comfortable? He's got such a serious face, this cat. A little bit like Tamba in that respect, is that it's all business and it's kind of seriousness. The one thing that he does do that makes me laugh every time is that for some reason he likes to have his tongue not kind of out, not like Hukumuri, who often had his tongue kind of hanging. His just sticks out just a little bit, so you get this little pink tongue that's kind of just slightly outside of his mouth. And then he just sits like that for ages. I don't know why he does it, or maybe it's just comfortable for him. And that's why he kind of feels like that's what he needs to do. I don't know. But it's a little habit that he's got. I'm a bit sad, though, that he didn't stay on his fallen over log, because it was so pretty with him on the log and the rocks in the background. Just kind of that quintessential leopard, but he's too bored for that. Every time he moves his own tail, he keeps kind of trying to bite it. So it's that kind of crazies that he's got at the moment. Although, he's now sleeping, isn't he? Part of me thinks that maybe, just maybe, Tundi is up a tree. Those impala alarm calls that I heard, it kind of had that connotation that they saw her, but not 100%. They were kind of shouting, but not a lot. And that often happens when they're in trees, is one impala sees them in the tree, but the rest of the herd responds and shouts too, but they actually can't see exactly where she is. And given the rain that we had this morning and the wetness of the grass, Tundi often likes to lie in these marulas on top here. I've seen her up in those marulas many times over the years, even when she doesn't have a kill. This particular area, for some reason, she just likes to be up and on the trees themselves. So if he carries on sleeping like this, I might just take one little turn, because he's not going anywhere. He's going to be here this morning until Mom comes back. I might just take a little turn up, just see if I can scout all those marula trees and just see if maybe Mom is up there somewhere. If she did make a kill and she was already kind of done with that, she would be marching back this way to try and come and fetch him. Should have come quick enough, and by now should have arrived, given the distance of those alarm calls. And she would have then obviously chuffed and called him, and they would have gone back to the kill from there. Sometimes you can find female leopards will feed a little bit before they go and fetch their cubs, particularly if they, feel like they haven't eaten well. But both of them had full tummies yesterday, so I don't think it would be that. I'm pretty sure she would have been back by now if she was coming back to him. But we'll be patient and see, like I say, if he's going to carry on sleeping, we might go take a little bumble and see if we can find her.
So I think we got here just in time, because the first look at them at these young cheetah that we had lying in the open was stunning, and now we haven't moved at all, and they all came straight towards us to the only or the nearest available shade. And so there's one of these little cheetah lying just off to the left of your screen, which you can see those four all lying tightly together. Just trying to get some shade. Here it comes. That's number 5. Look at that. We are less than 5 meters away from these cheetah. And I actually am hesitant to start up the car and move away because I don't want them to get a fright. They're looking quite content. And their tummies are not too empty. Their last meal was about 3 days ago. They did eat an impala.
So I've managed to catch up with the wild dogs again, and they've just settled down in a clearing close to a pan system. They tried to chase some impalas, and the impalas all got away. But this male is quite unusual. You can see if you have a look at his ears. The right ear, so on our left, is actually drooping over, and he's broken the cartilage in that ear. And so the other ear stands up straight, and this ear is constantly drooped over forwards. So he has quite a comical look about him with that one ear that's been damaged. And this ear's been damaged for quite a long time. And we don't think it affects his hearing or anything. He's still moving around as normal with the rest of the pack. But you can see a lot of the adults are actually out in the open. The pups are actually hidden in the grass behind them. And every now and then all we see is a flick of an ear from one of the pups. So I think what they're doing is, now that the sun has started coming out, you can see they're lying in a beautiful big patch of shade. They've got a little pan system just in front of them, so they've got some water for when it gets a bit hotter. And wild dogs are particularly fond of climbing into that water on a hot day. They're definitely not afraid of the water. So they're probably going to be here for the morning, knowing that this is a nice big clearing and that this is an area that naturally things like impalas will gravitate towards when they're getting ready to settle. So the wild dogs will have an advantage in this long grass lying in the shade. They're not as easily spotted because their coats aren't shining in the sun. And those impalas come back into this clearing looking for an open space that's safe. The wild dogs will already be here waiting. There you can see one of the wild dogs popping its head up in the grass. But it amazes me that in this little patch, we've got 21 wild dogs, and all you can see is about 2 or 3 of them with their heads up. And the rest of them are so well camouflaged in that grass. So the nice thing with wild dogs is they would like to hunt every day, twice a day. They're opportunistic, so anything that comes along is a fair target. But you know that they're going to be active at some point throughout the day and again in the evenings. And that's quite normal for them. They're active mornings and evenings. And on days like today, when the weather is so strange, the sun is out now, but there's a massive bank of clouds coming in, and the wind is still blowing these clouds closer. So on a day like today, when the sun goes away again and the clouds start rolling in again, maybe it'll start drizzling like it was when we were with Makoti Male earlier. You might find then that they might start getting active again. But have a look at that cloud bank as it's moving in. We're expecting a lot of rain from Sunday. The original prediction was 400 millimeters from Sunday. It's changed now. We're expecting about 80 millimeters on Sunday, which is still a lot of rain. And that'll make the predators quite a bit more active while it's building up. But I just love those giant ears. It's one thing that you can't miss on a wild dog is the size of those ears. And that's one of the most efficient tools that they have, one of their best senses, is using those ears almost like a radar, that big cartilage section, the section that sticks out of the ear. That's the section that they use to funnel the sound into the ear itself. And so they can hear the tiniest rustles of grass. They can hear each other moving when they're hunting and they've split up to corner something. That one almost looks like it's smelling something as well. It keeps moving its head as though it's sniffing the wind. The other one at the back also heard something popping its ears up out of the grass. Yeah, it does look like they're smelling something. They're both sitting with their noses into the wind now. So what they might be smelling here might be impalas, but it could also be hyenas. Yes, absolutely. These wild dogs are looking stunning in this greenery. We are very lucky this year. We've had a really decent amount of rain, and through our wet season that started last year. And so this is actually the greenest I think I've ever seen and beyond Ngala. The grass is really long, the bush is nice and lush and thick. And those predators really do stand out in this beautiful greenery. It'd be interesting to see, once our wet season ends, maybe in a month, how much more green it has become, how much thicker the bush has become. This one in the front right has definitely caught the scent or sound of something. You can see how much more alert it is all of a sudden. Its head is much higher. And it very well could even be something like a hyena that might be following the pack. That's one thing that hyenas are very good at, is picking up on the scent of wild dogs. And with a pack of this size, their tracks are everywhere. They smell quite strong. So for a hyena, it would be a really good idea to follow these wild dogs, because at some point, oh, nice teeth, at some point they are going to be successful on a kill. And so those wild dogs might leave some scraps for the hyenas. I wonder what that one at the back has smelled that got it to stand up. You can actually see that one doesn't have much white on the body. It's much more like gold and black, and then a bit of white on the tail, whereas the one that's lying down in front definitely has a lot more white on the body. You can see some on the chest and going down towards the tail as well. So I'm going to sit here for a while longer and see if these wild dogs start getting active. But speaking of striking patterns on the coat, I'm going to send you over to a cheetah in Pinda.
Go there. So our cheetah, 2 of the 5, have spotted a side-striped jackal. And it's quite exciting because the jackal is on the other side of us. And the cheetah look as though they are stalking the jackal. Now, in terms of a meal, not very likely for cheetah to, well, they definitely won't eat a jackal. But instinctually, have a look at this behavior. They want to chase the jackal. And the jackal has just gone behind the bushes. We are going to have to move because the jackal's gone out of screen, and I want to keep an eye on the cheetah if she chases it. You see, only 2 of the 5. Okay, now 3, 4, and 5. They're all following her. Look at them go. Go, guys, go. So now it becomes a little bit more hesitant for these cheetah. If you see the cheetah that's furthest forward, so just up that little ridge, there's some bushes. The jackal just went around the back of those bushes there, which is why these cheetah were all able to get up and run. If it was still out in the open, more than likely the jackal would have spotted them. Just bear with me, I want to try and get to an angle where we might be able to see both the cheetah and the jackal. And so what happened is, as that jackal went around the bush, the cheetah knew that they had some cover between them and the jackal. But the problem is that once the jackal has gone behind the bush, the cheetah don't know what the jackal is up to. They don't know if the jackal might turn around and look at them. So I'm trying to just do a nice wide loop. Try to get eyes on the jackal. So I'm just going to keep watching that way for now. So that as soon as I've seen the jackal, because we can still see the cheetah, we know where the cheetah are. Debbie, there are 3 males and 2 females in this group. So the 3 males will more than likely stick together forever. They will form a coalition, and the 3 brothers will work together in everything that they do, hunting, marking and patrolling their territory. It's quite a nice thing to see, those 5 cheetahs walking across the... Oops. So I haven't spotted the jackal yet. And so those the three males will stick together, but the females, when they get to sexual maturity and they will start to want to look for a mate, then they will leave the group, and the females will be solitary. Oh, I think that was for the bird. Maybe they think the jackal is in there. I'm sure I saw the jackal running past that bush, but that's the last spot where the cheetah saw the jackal, so they might be thinking that the jackal's in there. Oopsie. So for those of you that are seeing these cheetah for the first time, these 5, The story behind why they are or have been or become orphaned is that their mom and one of their siblings was caught and killed by a lion in the north of Phinda. And these cubs were only 5 months old at the time. They're only about 10 months old now. And so to be let cheetah numbers the way that they are at the moment, we have to save every cheetah that we can. And so the decision was made to dart them and put them into a boma. So a boma is a very big fenced off area. Any threats, and for the time that they were in the boma, they were fed every 4 or 5 days. But the idea was that when these cubs are about 10 to 12 months old, and the impalas have given birth to most of the lambs, that we would put them back onto the reserve, and that's exactly what happened. And thus far, they've been back on the reserve for about a month now. They've managed to make, which is really exciting and really promising for the future of these 5. I'm not sure if it's been a different cheetah every time that's made those 4 kills, or maybe the same one that's made the kills every time. But it's really nice to know that they know that that's what they have to do. But that is quite something, to see them all walking in sync. So we're going to just see what happens with these cheetah. And in the meantime, I'm going to send you across to Tristan.
It is always impressive when you see a big grouping of cheetah all walking together. It's not really much quite like it. I think the most famous of which are those 5 up in the Masai Mara, those 5 brothers. They're absolutely unbelievable when they get going. As you can see, not much in the form of entertainment like those 5 cheetah from our young cub. He's just chilling in his little green grassy patch, happy as can be. He's just listening out and basically picking up any of the sounds that are around him. There's been the odd woodpecker that's been pecking around. There's been an elephant that made a bit of a noise that triggered him to have a little look. But otherwise, generally, he's been fairly sleepy. I suppose, maybe this morning he was full of beans and kind of run around because the tracks are all over this drainage line and they weren't here like this yesterday. And so maybe he's just tired. He's decided, the weather's a bit gloomy now. There's a cool breeze, overcast conditions, that he's going to have a nap. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's doing it with much relish, that's for sure. I thought about leaving and going to try and see if we could find any sign of whatever was causing the impalas to alarm call, which, like I say, I'm pretty sure is Thandi. But then I was thinking, Murphy's Law is we're going to go, miss her, she'll come fetch him, and we'll come back and he won't be here. So then I kind of had FOMO and decided that I'd rather just be patient and wait. Good things come to those that are patient in the bush. And so we're just going to chill with him. Also, it's just a good exercise to spend some time with him. I mean, he is of the age now where he can be kind of with us on his own. We don't have to worry about spending time with him during the day without mom. And coupled with that, he's, just getting more and more relaxed the more time we spend with him. And he's now at the point where he's a normal leopard. And he's just kind of, when I say normal leopard, I mean a normal leopard for us here in the Sabi Sands, in that he's not worried about vehicles at all anymore. Not nearly as shy as what he was a few months ago. It's incredible to think the turnaround in the space of 2-3 months of how much he's changed. He was considered an unrelaxed leopard. I think it was when I came in December, everyone was saying, he's not relaxed. And I mean, since that impala kill that he and mom had on Torchwood, from there, we've had the most crazy sightings of him being super chilled. and allowing us to kind of spend a lot of time with him, even when mom's not around. You know, when mom is around, it's one thing, because you know that they always get a lot more confidence from their mothers. But when mom's not around, it's a whole other thing altogether. So it's a vote of confidence when you see him kind of sleeping like this near us and not kind of worried about our presence. Shame boy, are you tired? His ears aren't as fluffy as they used to be. Seems like his hair's thinned out, particularly on the right ear. He used to have long hairs that came out of his right ear, but they seem to be shortening up by the day. Okay, well, we'll be patient. Like I said, we just got to put patience pants on and wait. Hopefully, mom will arrive at some point during the morning.
Do you dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a Wild Earth Explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name engraved on her so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a Wild Earth Explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
Our first Wild Earth Explorers competition has closed. And we have a winner. Congratulations to Chantal Sleep from Benoni in South Africa.
I felt totally overwhelmed for winning this prize. I will be taking my son with me, and I can't wait to share this experience with him.
Chantal and her son have won a behind-the-scenes Wild Earth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala Tented Safari Camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay and a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse.
I would like to thank Wild Earth for making this dream come true, and I encourage everybody to subscribe, to become an explorer, and stand the chance to win these amazing prizes, and so much more.
For this month, we have a brand new prize. You could be jetting off to Tswalu in the Kalahari for a 3-night stay at the luxurious Motsi Lodge. Open to all Wild Earth Explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
So, okay, guys, the dogs won. I mean, they were just all over the show. We eventually lost their tracks at another waterhole where they went in, and the soil was just too hard, so the tracks disappeared and we couldn't see where they were going out, and they were highly active. So decided to rather come and have a look at what these boys are doing, and lucky we did. Look at how cool this is. We can see they fed. They must have finished the kill during the evening, or longest period of time, maybe late last night. You can see those bellies are super round, and that's just beautiful because, you know, you remember we saw them the other day. When was this? 2 days ago. 2 days ago, and they were looking super hungry, as if they have not eaten in a while. Oops, there's a thorn in the foot. The guy at the back. Oops. Seems like he sorted it out there. He's stumbling around a little bit. But yeah, just always special to see that they have fed and so on. Even if we don't see the kill of them feeding on it or so on, it's still nice to see that they have had a meal. And very special to see them drinking like this. You know, with the cheetahs, we don't often see them drink. They, out here, obtain actually all of the moisture they need from the blood of the animals that they eat. So they can, if they need to, go without drinking water, at least for quite some time. You know, now it's just nice to have a drink because their bellies are full, and it'll help to just let everything settle nicely in the stomach. And also, as you can imagine, with them digesting quite a bit now. They are losing a little bit of moisture by creating all of that body heat when the digestive system is working overtime. So great for them to be able to have a drink quickly. And now you can see how round those bellies are. They must have killed something large though, because we didn't see them for, 2 days. So I think it might have been something like a kudu or something like that. We'll go a little closer now. I just love spending time with these boys. Let's go around quickly. Yeah, like I said, I mean, when we got the update this morning, they saw these two boys not too far away from where we are right now, but also the dogs were just by the mountain over there, so they were not too far apart. Unfortunately, the dogs gave us the slip. But I think for these guys' sake, it's actually very special very lucky that the dogs didn't become aware of them, because they might have chased them around a little bit. You can see them moving. I think they're going to want to have a look to find a spot where it's nice and shady to lie down for the day. Possibly underneath a shepherd's tree or something like that. Let's see if we can get them coming towards us. There we go. So yeah, guys, as you can see, looking super, super good. And I can imagine that they're a couple of happy cheetahs at the moment. Can you hear blue wildebeest calling behind me at the back as well? It might be for them though. We'll have to see. Maybe the dogs surprise us and they pop out here behind us. And there's the other one. So Pello, when a male coalition is formed, most likely just after being born, they'll, if they can, stay together for life. So depending on how long both of them survive, they'll be together for that period of time. It just makes their chances of survival better, and also of keeping their territory, for longer. So being dominant in an area where they have females to mate with and all of those things. Just like male lions, and it's highly unlikely for the cheetah brothers to split up. It's not impossible, but it doesn't happen often where you see them splitting up and not continuing their path together. Let's get on the road here quickly. So yeah, very much bonded permanently, and they'll prefer it like that, whereas with the females, you'll always find them by themselves unless they've got cubs, or if there's a male that wants to mate with her, or a couple of males that wants to mate with her. That's when you'll find them together. Beautiful how they're walking just towards us, eh? I did now see, guys, the blue wildebeest is calling for the cheetahs. He was staring straight in our direction. There's another one actually running closer. If he comes a little closer, and we'll be able to see him better now. We'll show you. But you'll quite often find where the herbivores actually run towards the predators and then start alarm calling. Just to tell those predators, you know what? We've seen you, so don't even try. We are going to keep our eye on you, and there's no way that you're going to get close enough to be able to try something. If they just look at the body language of these animals, they'll know that trying something is absolutely out of the question. Let's turn around quickly. They are full and they are looking for a place to lie down. That's their main objective. So yeah, guys, while we see what these guys are gonna do, we're gonna send you over to the other cheetahs in Phinda. So long.
So our cheetahs have managed to find a place to relax. And some looking more relaxed than others. But what does perk these cheetahs up every now and then is the fact that there are 3 pretty big zebras just behind us. And every now and then when the zebras walk a little bit closer and change the angle a little bit, Glenn across to the zebras, you'll see how close they are. So these are 4 stallions. You see the oxpeckers flying off them. And these 4 zebras would definitely chase these young cheetah. And it's not uncommon for zebras to actually kill young cheetahs. They've got very powerful hooves. Well, very hard and strong hooves and very powerful legs to kick and stomp and even bite. And those are the weapons that they use when they're fighting amongst themselves, but also the weapons that they use to get rid of predators like lions, when lions are trying to hunt them. But also that would be the way that they would try to deal with these young cheetahs. So the cheetah are just trying to stand their ground. If the cheetah had to run away, lose their nerve and run away, the zebras would almost certainly chase them. And at this age, these cheetah are able to go really, really fast. They could probably get close to about 90 kilometers an hour, which is just faster than the zebras. So the zebra probably wouldn't catch them, but it's a whole lot of energy exerted by the cheetah that they can't afford to waste. So they have to stand their ground. But as we see the zebras slowly moving off, you can see the behavior of these cheetah changes. And they relax. Julia, that's a very good question. So what has happened in the past, and this is just purely on my experience of cheetah dispersing from mom and cheetah leaving their sibling. And so with what I've seen in the past is a young male and female that were together, and their mom left them, and so they were moving around, the couple or the pair of them, and trying to hunt, and they managed to get not a young, but a small scrub hare. And what happened was the male, the female caught it, the male stole it from her, and he ate the entire scrub hare without sharing anything with his sister, and that is what caused them to separate. So something like that might cause it, but what will usually cause it is the female becoming sexually active and trying to actually look for a mate. That'll cause her to leave the males behind. The males might follow, but eventually they will lose interest, and she will go off on her own way. That will happen with both of the females, but the young males will stick together. See how each different cheetah is facing in a different direction, so their odds are really good when they are in a group like this, and that's why odds of male cheetahs are quite a bit higher than females, especially when the females don't have any cubs. When the females have cubs, then of course the cubs can look in different directions to the mom, and they can cover their surroundings, making sure that they are alert to any danger. But you can imagine a female cheetah by herself, when she's either pregnant or looking for a mate, that's when she's at a very high risk. You can just hear some zebras off in the distance. Nala, I agree, that is definitely a handful of sweetness. 5 little bundles of joy. And they look quite happy. I mean, you wouldn't, unless you knew the backstory, you would think these were 5 happy young cheetah. And what's crazy is that they should have, okay, you can see those zebras now, the 4 that were behind us have now looped all the way around. They want to know where the cheetah are at all times. So what I was saying was they would still normally have a whole year left with their mom. Usually around 22 to 24 months is when they're 18 to 24 months old is when their mom would leave them, depending on the development of the youngster, but also depending on the mother. So she would leave them when she started to come into heat again. And sometimes that takes longer, sometimes shorter. There's always something with these 5 youngsters. You see that one cheetah has now gone straight into the bush. It's like a group of kids now, and they're never all on the same page. They're never all tired or all energetic. So, I think these cheetah have settled. We'll just sit with them for a little bit longer. But from here, I'm going to send you across to Steve at a waterhole.
Welcome back to Joom, everybody. Well, we've been out and about this whole morning, but what a morning it sounds like you've all been having. Animals galore. So we just thought we'd spend a moment with some very serene-looking Egyptian geese. Don't forget, we would love you to send some videos through of how you've managed to find some peace in these crazy, crazy times. please send through your videos if you've missed our discussion on the topic. Let me refresh you. So obviously Wild Earth, what we attempt to do is to connect people with nature during tough times, but outside of Wild Earth, what else is there that we can do? And many of you have managed to stay centered, I suppose, or stay a little bit sane in these crazy times, and we would love for you to share with us through a little video some geese in the pond or some ducks or whatever it is that you've done in these last 9-10 months during lockdown to find solace in nature. Take a video of yourselves in those situations. The simple purity of nature is infectious and enormously healing. I can speak for one who's been healed many, many times by nature. So please, if you can send through a video of yourselves, of the situation, of the place, of the animal, of the butterflies, of the quiet place, of the view, whatever it might be, and post the videos to #WildEarth on Twitter, @WildEarth Live on Facebook, @WildEarthOfficial on Instagram. We would really appreciate that. So we have arrived at the other weaver colony at Buffelshoek Dam, where these fellows are a lot busier at the moment. The red-billed buffalo weavers are back in attendance, just up a bit. You'll see them. A messy nest a bit more to the right and up. Oh, the dark ones up at the top there, boy, you can see him jumping around. There we go, on the right of the screen, there's the red-billed buffalo weavers in their very messy nest. So I'm glad to see that even though this tree has succumbed to the moisture, which is Buffelshoek Dam, the last couple of years the rain and the dam has been quite full, and no doubt that's affected the roots. This massive torchwood tree has succumbed, but it has become a breeding ground for all of these other weavers, and the red-billed buffalo weaver that were there already are still there, which is good to see. They will live in that nest all year round. Little apartment blocks with inside that very messy accumulation of sticks. And the red-billed buffalo weaver, for those of you who were not aware, is one of the small five. If you're hearing that term for the first time, the big five are the 5 most dangerous animals historically to hunt on foot, and they include lion, leopard, buffalo, elephant, and rhinoceros. And so the little 5 have got those names in it. So the red-billed buffalo weaver. I suppose they call the buffalo weaver because that's what a buffalo would do if it built a nest. Very messy. Not very well designed or not very intricately woven. Oh, it's busy stealing. Look at the bottom there. Can you go into that one there? He's busy stealing material from the weaver nests. Look at that, you cheeky, cheeky fellow. There we go. That'll do nicely inside my apartment. Now, she's going, yes, it will. Yes, it will. That will be wonderful as a down bedding. He's thinking to himself, well, hang on, maybe not. I remember last year seeing the red-billed buffalo weavers stealing sticks from the Bateleur nest with the Bateleur in attendance. I thought that was, there we go. There's a typical kind of stick that the buffalo weavers use. I saw them stealing the sticks from the Bateleur nest, which I thought, a very brave bird. Bateleurs are predatory raptors. And the buffalo weavers, well, they didn't, not too bothered by that. Don't forget, we are live interactive. We'd love to hear any questions and comments from you this morning on #WildEarth. Hello, Luva. You want to know why they build the nest close to water? It's basically just the most inaccessible place for anything to get to. Out on the end of the water, not much can get out there. There's also potentially talk that reflection of the light off of the water can also help in heating the nest. It's a potential option. But it's as inaccessible as they can find. Yeah, the Deirdre's cuckoo in the background. That was me. He's saying his name. Deirdre's. Yep, that was a hippo. There's a really nice group of hippos hanging out in Buffelshoek Dam these days. Scuba Steve has definitely upped his game. He's been holding on to this territory for years, and now finally, the ladies have come. And now they're all hiding under the water. They heard us coming to them with the camera, and they decided, no, we're going under. Here we go. A pot of hippos, everybody. They were laughing at us just now. Jerome, you love the sounds of hippos. I do think they're quite a fantastic sound. It's definitely one of those noises that that makes you think of Africa. They're rather funny sounds, aren't they? They always seem to laugh at my dad jokes, which I think is great. Not everybody laughs at the dad jokes, so the hippos always seem to appreciate it, which I rather enjoy. So as always, we like to park at these watering holes and we do some birding while we're waiting. You never know who or what might just materialize out of the thickets to come down and drink. It happens regularly. We had some rain in the night. I'm not sure what time about. I think it was about 3 o'clock. So we've been searching for some tracks. Nothing fresh, nothing after the rain. But we shall continue on. There is more rain predicted. The cyclone arriving imminently. I'm not sure when it'll be falling, but it's scheduled to bring an enormous amount of more rainfall, which is no doubt going to influence these watering holes as well as the grass.
So not too much has changed. These cheetah are just trying to find a comfortable spot in some shade to try and settle down for the day. Lying just about on top of one another. But looking quite relaxed now. The zebras have moved off. There's no more sign of that jackal. And you'll see that one that Glenn's got in the frame at the moment, the one off to the right. Oh. I was just about to say, he's having a proper sleep. And that's what usually happens, like, that's how long their sleep is. Their sleep lasts as long as the wind is quiet and as long as the bush is quiet. And as soon as there's a sound, which is very often, then the cheetah's eyes are open and they're looking around. But it really fascinates me how they're able to sleep with their head like that at a 90-degree angle to their body. We'll see the eyes slowly closing again. And then a sound. And it's all alert again.
So yeah guys, the two boys, as we predicted, have now found a nice shady spot. They actually like this clump of blackthorn trees. They come and lie down here often. It's nice and thick. After having a drink of water during the middle of the day, you can see there's also a bit of a bit of a clearing underneath the canopy of the trees. And with that being the case, they can, snuggle into the base of the tree so that they can, properly rest without having to move too much during the middle of the day or when the sun becomes more towards the west or gets more towards the western side and the angle changes so that the shade doesn't, disappear on them. So we see them here, I wouldn't say often, but regularly, just lying down waiting for the afternoon to come. And then they only start getting active afterwards then when it starts cooling down again. You can see this guy is getting really lazy. Oh, there we go. Very lazy. That belly is nice and round. The shade is nice and cool. They just had a drink of water, so there's absolutely no worry in the world. The wild dogs are out of the area that we know of. So with that being the case, there's literally nothing that can be better for them at the moment. Very, very lazy. The other boy is lying way off to our left under the trees, but we can't see him at the moment, guys. He's behind some of the branches and so on, so we're not even going to go to him. But have a look at how beautiful that spot pattern is. And now you can properly see that white belly, that heat window that we sometimes talk about, with the cats when they lie on their backs. When your dog lies at home on a really hot day, you'll sometimes find him lying on his back and exposing his belly to the breeze. These guys do it as well. And what that does then is it just takes away all the unnecessary body heat from the body itself to help them cool down, because that's the area of the body where the skin is at its thinnest, and also where you have the most heat created. So when cooling down, they do use that often to expose the belly to the breeze and then lose heat like that. But the reason for the white underneath is just to reflect as much radiation away from the body then, so that they don't continue heating up by absorbing the sun energy. But at the moment there's enough shade. The breeze is still nice and cool, so he's cooling down sufficiently just by doing what he's doing right now. The wind is picking up slightly, coming from the east. You guys have, yesterday the guys in the Lowveld spoke about having predictions for quite some heavy rain over the weekend, and so it could be that we're starting to feel the wind just pushing slightly more from the east as opposed to our normal northerly or southerly winds coming in, or even southwesterly coming in from the west coast with that cyclone. I see they're calling it Eloise, coming in from the Mozambican coast. But it's going to be a hectic one. So very, very likely for us to feel the winds over here, but not necessarily the rain. See, they're predicting winds of up to 150 kilometers an hour when it hits the Mozambican coast, so that's going to be a rough one. We'll have to see. Luckily, we're far enough west to not really feel the harshness of the storm coming, but it is going to affect the weather pattern quite a bit. We'll see on our side, most likely, the clouds disappearing completely and it being windy but warm days for us over the next couple of days. So yeah, always nice when the sun is out. Not necessarily for this boy at the moment. He's looking for more of a cooler day. Lorraine, so that is an interesting question. It's difficult to really say. With the cats, they're always, or predators in general, they're always opportunistic. So their bellies are very round at the moment, so I'm inclined to say no, they won't. But let's say there's a springbok that walks right up to them, more or less than 20 meters away. They might try. You know, it's difficult to really definitively say no. However, the way their stomachs are looking like right now, I don't think a cheetah wants to run with a belly that full. So, I don't think so. But, you know, I've been in a sighting, been in a sighting before in the Sabi Sands during the drought where the lions killed an adult buffalo, and it was just, you know, the rest of the herd was just too desperate to stay away from the water, so they kept coming in and they ended up killing 6 buffalo. Only 8, like 1.5 of them. But as they were lying at the one buffalo, the next one came in and they went for it, and the next one came in and they went for it. So, like I said, they're very opportunistic animals, so if there's an easy meal coming by, you know, they'll most likely try, but they won't actively go looking for an opportunity to present itself at the moment. Maybe this afternoon when they've digested a little bit and there's then an animal walking by that's a little closer than normal, they'll go for it. But if I had to predict, they'll only look to hunt again maybe tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. So yeah, it's difficult to really say no. However, it's highly unlikely that they'll go for something now, just because they are so super full. If they just had a small thing, like let's say a steenbok or half a springbok, and it got stolen from them and so on, and their bellies were full, but not, you know, chock and block full, or tennis ball full like they are right now, I think they would have gone for an opportunity if it presented itself, but not at the moment. Well, I don't think so. So yeah, tough to say in the bush, you know. It's there's no such thing as an always and a never word when it comes to the bush. The animals tend to surprise you quite often when you use those words. Yeah, guys, while they're lazy, we're going to send you over to Tristan Salong and see if these guys don't want to get a little bit more active, then we'll come back here.
Well, you never know with those cheetahs. You also never know what leopards are going to do. And our little cub went into it's pretty much a little impenetrable fortress to go and sleep. And there's zero view of him. All we could see was one little spot through the branches. So we decided to leave him and just see if maybe mom is still lurking or whoever was upsetting everyone. I mean, there's tracks for a female leopard walking on this road, but this is, I'm sure, her tracks when she left yesterday, because there is a bit of rain on top of them. Or I just can't remember now if the alarm calls were before the showers of rain or after the showers of rain I had this morning. I think they were during, but this looks like it's got quite a bit of rain on top. So I don't know if she's just maybe somewhere here. There's lots of hyena tracks as well going up and down. So I'm just checking very carefully all the trees just to see if there isn't something in a tree somewhere. You never know. Maybe she's made a kill and it's just hanging and she's kind of sitting at the bottom. It's also possible. The weather conditions were perfect this morning for hunting leopards, so it's very possible she's managed to get a meal. But we'll stop with this Ellie for the meantime. Hello, boy. Why are you all so cheeky at the moment? I think it's due to the fact that they've been eating too many marulas, too much sugar. Too much sugar and not enough big bulls around yet to discipline these younger guys, so they've all got a bit of attitude at the moment, which I'm sure is irritating the cows no end, which is why they're also a little bit testy every time we see them. You know, big objects are pretty much the same as like the bull elephants in some respects, so they generally are a little bit more kind of forceful at this time of the year. Like I said, also the increase in sugars in their diet makes for naughty elephants. Cuckoo flying around as well. Which cuckoo is it? Moving way too quick to pick up which one it was. Just flew over the back of the elephant there just now, so I was trying to get my binos on it, but I couldn't get exactly who it was. Anyway, it's lots of Ellies around. Been hearing them all morning from where we were sitting with that cub. The Chitwa at this time of the year is always full of elephants. Lots of marulas on Chitwa, plus the big dam, and they have, you know, the kind of wallows as well. So it's a bit of everything for the Ellies. They spend quite a lot of time hanging around the Chitwa, particularly the open clearings. Like I say, a lot of marulas behind the lodge and in front of the lodge, which so makes for a perfect kind of diet for them, as well as the water where they can go and swim. And you can see this guy has had a swim already this morning, completely dark, and then has had a little sand bath after that. CJ, I'd imagine they probably can. They're quite susceptible to vibration and things like that from their feet. So maybe the rumbling and kind of disruption of thunder and things like that they're sensitive to. I don't know that part, but I'm pretty sure they can detect storms coming. Most animals can. It's quite interesting. I would have been interested to be down on the rivers at the moment, because if we do have a cyclone coming and it does make landfall and does come towards this area and it floods everything, what you see is just before that happens, kind of 3, 4, 5, 6 days before, you find all of the animals moving away from the rivers. So hippos, even crocodiles, snakes, lots of different creatures starting to push away from the low-lying areas onto the higher areas. Here we won't see it as much because, you know, we don't have permanent river sources where animals are living in. Our drainage lines are generally empty, and they, even though they do flood, they wouldn't rage in enough of a way to worry something like an elephant up this part of the world. But down on the Sand and Sabi River, you'll find that those animals often move away from the river when they know big rain is coming. They know that it's a dangerous place to be in, so they kind of get out of it. I saw it when we were at Lion Sands. You see the hippos moving out a day or two before the river used to come down in flood. So they're probably sensitive to pressure changes. I would imagine that's a lot of what goes on with them. An awareness of big storms would come with lightning, thunder. You know, sense of hearing is very good on these animals, so they would hear us long before we would. Nice colorations on this bull because of his dust bathing that he's been doing. He's got little reds and whites and contrasts nicely on that dark, wet skin that he's got. Wonder where he was swimming. Maybe Treehouse Dam on Little Gowrie, because he's come from Little Gowrie side. He hasn't been swimming at Chitwa Dam. Otherwise, he would have come from a different direction. Haligai, no, it doesn't. Tusks and tusk size is quite genetic. So some bulls will be, 50 years old, and while they have a nice set of tusks, they won't be massive, whereas there's some bulls that are 25, 30 that will have a similar set of tusks to them. So it's mostly genetic. Aging of elephants of tusks is very, very, very inconsistent. What you need to do is use condition of the tusks with condition of ears, overall condition of the body, size. All of those things will eventually get you to a point where you'll know, okay, that's about the right sort of age. But tusks on their own, no, you can't really. Although I suppose older bulls, the tusks are stained and nicked and scratched, and you can see they've had visible wearing a lot more than the younger bulls. But it's not necessarily big tusks mean older elephants. Okay, no tracks here yet. I'm going to just keep scratching this area and see. I might also go and have a little scratch for Sibuyi's cubs. And while I do that, let's send you across to Steve.
Thanks, Tristan. Well, talking about elephants, here's a tree that gets absolutely smashed by elephant. They love to eat the twigs. They find it very palatable, and they often break the tree down. We don't find many of these quite large. In fact, they can get up to 10 meters, but I've never seen one. Known as the round-leaved teak, also known as the bloodwood, because on the leaves, there's little red spots, which often look like a little bit of blood spoor, as if some blood has spilt out onto the leaves. So they get that name, bloodwood, also known as round-leaved teak. Very durable, insect-proof wood. Was used in the past for wagon wheels, furniture, household articles. But we stopped because it's in full flower. And it's really nice to see in full flower. We haven't seen one in full flower, I don't think, in some time. Generally flower after really, really good rains. That beautiful yellow, sweet scented flower. The plant is Browse Bakuru and Impala. And we find many of them all over the place that have been dug up and smashed by elephants, because elephants don't only just like the twigs, they like the roots as well. So lots of holes in the ground. I can't say I've ever seen a tall one before. Probably outside of the reserves where they're allowed to grow without being hindered. Can be a very attractive garden plant, as you can see. However, they are not frost resistant, but relatively fast growing. Wonderful. The Pterocarpus rotundifolius, the scientific name. Ptera with a P, meaning wing. Greek for wing, ptera, and carpus meaning the fruit. So the fruit is a winged fruit. So these flowers will be producing winged fruits at some point. We'll see if we can find some moving forward. I had to stop and have a look because I was like, wow, what is this? I don't think I've seen one in flower in the last couple of years, to be honest, on Djuma. So it really does stand out from far. Beautiful, beautiful flowers. And it's important, everybody, every now and again, to stop and smell the flowers as we're moving along in life. There's so many other things that crowd our minds with things to do, but sometimes just stop and smell. I know it's a very old saying, but how often can you say that in your day you give enough time to just stopping, everybody, and just enjoying, engaging the senses? Obviously it looks attractive, but it's got a sweet smell to it. No doubt it'll be attracting lots of insects. You can actually see the stick towards the back of it, where the trees tried to grow, but elephants keep pruning it and trimming it down, so it never really gets past sort of chest height. Okay, we're going to send you over to Pinda, who doesn't have any flowers. They've got some cheetah.
Well, we came round to the other side of the bushes where these cheetah have settled down. just to see what the view is like from this side. So they're lying on the edge of the dry river bed. It's quite a nice vantage point of the area around them. But we are only able to see one. We only have one left here. The other four are all lying right inside the bush and have made themselves comfortable right inside there. And with the wind blowing a little bit this morning, every now and then there's a sound that frightens them. Dolly, 6 cubs is quite a high number of cubs. You are definitely right, but I wouldn't call it unusual. They have got 6 teats on their stomach, so 6 mammary glands that secrete milk, and so it is quite possible for them to have 6 cubs. And cheetah cubs have very low odds of survival, and so to have more is quite natural, because it's quite normal for a number of them to die before they reach independence, because of the fact that there's so many threats to cheetah. But I definitely wouldn't say 6 is normal. 4, 5 is normal. But I do know even of a cheetah in I think it was in the Mara. There was a cheetah that had 7 cubs, which was very unusual. 6 is uncommon. 3 or 4 is quite normal. The saddest thing about it, though, is that Mom died, and there's a European roller. There is a shortage of female cheetah that are predator-wise or predator-savvy, and so it is a real pity that Mom didn't make it. But I think these cheetah have definitely found their spot to settle down for the day. So I'm going to leave them to rest and go and see what else we can find and send you off to Steve in the meantime.
Welcome back to Joom, everybody, and we have a birding quiz for all of you out there. This is a pretty easy bird to identify, but I'd love to know how many of you get it right. Send through your answer to hashtag Wild Earth or throw it in the YouTube chat stream. What bird is this? I don't mind if you use the old name. I don't mind if you use the new name. A nice understanding of it is quite helpful. You see it's a grey bird. It's got a yellowish face. It's definitely got a beak for a bird of prey, raptor. And sometimes that yellow face goes quite pink. One of the easier birds to identify in the raptor department. Very broad wings. It's a bird that is an expert at hunting nestlings, squirrels, organisms and animals within cavities, not just in trees, but in rock crevices and on the ground. Very, very adept at sticking their leg inside of holes and moving it around so as to be able to grab whatever might be trying to hide. We know of many species that use cavities for nesting and roosting and sort of doing their thing. And so hence a predator would have adapted itself to feed on those animals. Obviously, it's not over-sustainable. It's not pillaging every animal and every organism that lives in a cavity, but they are very good at finding these cavities and nests and feeding on them. So, as we wait for your answers to come through, it's nice to do some birding quizzes in the morning, in the afternoon as well. grey body with an outer black tailing edge on the wings and the tail. He's just enjoying a little bit of a view. I wonder if this bird has stopped to smell the proverbial roses. It is an adult. In juvenile plumage, it is brown, but still quite a long face. Okay. Oh! Victoria, African hairy hawk. Let's have a look at the bird, the fork-tailed drongo. Now watch how this bird's face is going to start going red. Fork-tailed drongo, you cheeky. Oh, it's chased him. So, African Harrier Hawk, Victoria said, I think quite a few of you have said, if you wrote the name Gymnogene, you are correct as well. That is the old name. I don't mind interchanging between old and new names. It's really about knowing the bird. Gymnogene is the old name. Then I call African Harrier Hawk, because very broad wings. Flap, flap, glide, flap, flap, glide. And that is calling now. My rendition of it calling, anyway. Fork-tailed drongo told him he was boss, didn't he? It's all the size difference. That's why I like to nickname the fork-tailed drongo the honey badger of the sky. They're not scared. They're like, I will chase you off, bird. You're only 200 times bigger than me. But I'll get you. Fork-tailed drongos. What funny fellows. And now he's calling on top of the tree, the forky. Going, I showed that Gymnogene. Okay, we're going to carry on along this road and slowly start making our way back to check some of the watering holes close to the camp. While we do so, let's go over to Pridelands with Taylor and Katie.
Well, we've got very excited elephants here this morning. This one is attempting to rear one of the naughtiest little elephants, and that is of course because we're with my favorite herd, Susan's herd. She's in there somewhere, but we'll show you in a minute. I'm too scared to take the camera off of this little elephant in case it decides to come charging towards us, so I will introduce myself in a moment, but let's just make sure we get the good stuff on camera, because that's of course what you've come to see, is the wildlife. Okay, there we go. I don't think we're going to get too much more action in this moment, hopefully in a little bit. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Gert, and we're here at Pridelands Conservancy, which is part of Baluli Game Reserve and the Greater Kruger National Park. Now, we're a little bit late, but, you know, this is just how we roll, but I promise you it will all be worth it once Susan has finished having a drink. She is in a mood. She's already tusked another elephant into the water, a younger bull, so we'll see what she gets up to. Maybe that's why these two are acting, the little ones are acting so brave. So Susan is standing in between the two young calves, which she normally does. She's very fond of these youngsters, and she spends a lot of time with them teaching them bad manners, which is unfortunate. Hopefully they won't be as sassy as she is. But she's very gentle around them and super protective. She doesn't let them out of her sight, well, most of the time. Oh my goodness, we've literally been driving all around Pridelands this morning looking for this elephant. That is the only thing that we've been doing. After we bumped into her yesterday morning, I could not find the herd again. But we're at Leopard Dam. It seems as though everyone's taking a break from Ndlovu Dam at the moment and enjoying this area. Little one investigating around Susan's mouth. No, that's not polite. Well, I suppose in elephant culture, it is socially acceptable to stick your trunk in another elephant's mouth. And she doesn't mind. She doesn't come over to say hello to us just yet. We'll see. Hopefully she does, because it's always entertaining. Off she goes. Oh, she's going around. There's another little elephant that she's obviously got to go and say hello to. There she goes. They're greeting one another now. I think there might be a few other elephants here, because as far as I'm aware, there were only the two small ones in this herd. Oh yes, there's a whole lot coming in. Hello guys. Oh, sorry. I'm just watching that elephant that came running out from behind the vehicle. Stop it, you're going to cause drama here at the water. Oh, they're all very excited. Another calf coming through, much older though, as you can see. Probably closer to 3 or 4 years old. And then a big cow. Hello, girl. Just stepping off into frame. Just pausing for a moment. I promise that was an elephant, not me. See how everyone should probably give this cow some space to go down and have a drink. Michelle, that's one thing that we can guarantee you here at Pridelands is cute elephants. Yes, they are. I suppose that's one way to describe the youngsters. They are absolutely precious. But there's that little one that keeps coming out that is full of beans this morning. And I think if once they've drank, hopefully they come back up this way. And then we should get some interesting encounters. Yeah, there's definitely 2 herds here. It might be that smaller group of elephants that we occasionally see that have just joined up. Oh, get that tail out of your mouth. You see, it's got the whole tail in there. That's not where it's supposed to go. Oh, little one's slipping in the mud now. Oh, they're all going in the water. They're all going to go for a swim. If they do go further in, sorry, we're a bit restricted as to how we can position the car right now. But once these elephants that are just off to our left move around to the right, then I should be able to move higher up. The thing I don't want to do is pin any of the elephants against the edge of the water, because obviously that's just going to not end very well. Well, they just won't be very happy, and the last thing we want to do is upset anybody. That's one of the older cows. She's Susan's lookalike, but she's actually got a young calf. But her tusks also curve slightly in. Marion, you know, I don't know if an elephant closes its eyes when it goes underwater because I've never swam with elephants before. No, I'm just teasing. I would imagine that they would close their eyes under the water. It's very dirty, so I'm sure there's lots of like sand particles moving around, so they wouldn't want to get that into their eyes. So I would imagine as they go underwater, they do close their eyes. Luckily, there's no chlorine in here, so I don't think it's going to burn. I just think there's lots of bits and pieces that could potentially irritate their eyes. But of course, these animals are a lot more tough than us. You know, if I were to swim in there, I don't think it would be very good for me. But for these animals that are used to the various bacterias, and I suppose they throw sand into their face often, on a daily basis, in fact, maybe it doesn't bother them so much. What is that little one doing? Just up to no good, like full of beans. Very excited about life. And finally, the sun has broken through the clouds. We actually got rained on this morning for about 45 minutes. It wasn't quite a torrential downpour, but it was a hard enough drizzle that it sent us flying back to HQ. So that was a fun time. But I think we are maybe gearing up for some not so nice weather. Seems like the wind is just getting stronger every day. So we best enjoy the elephants now, because they'll probably, and with a lot of the other animals, go into hiding and hide in, not really go into hiding, but they'll sort of stick to the denser vegetated areas where they'll get some relief from the wind. They're all just taking a moment to enjoy themselves. You can hear the faint calls of a woodland kingfisher, the odd red-billed hornbill calling too. Hello, little one. Yes, you can charge us, it's fine, we will laugh at you. That small one is desperate to come and say hello to the car. Get Susan to come with you, she'll escort you. The little one doesn't want to move out of that bull's way. And he's not going to be very tolerant of that small calf. He's just going to walk straight over it, bulldoze over it, in fact. Let's see. With Mom coming around a bit closer, you might get a bit of bravery. Just pretending I'm not doing anything. What's wrong? You keep twisting your trunk. You're itchy on your legs as well. Something is making it itch. Don't worry, I feel your pain when I walk through the grass. I become very itchy too. Something is not right. I'm sure it'll figure it out in a minute, that little one. Sick kid, yes. Elephants are the most incredible animals. I'm glad that you think so too. I think most people, once they experience elephants, I mean, if you're lucky enough to watch them in real life and have them come around you, you realize that they just give off the most wonderful energy. Like, whenever I'm sad or not having the greatest day, I come for elephant therapy. It's a whole lot cheaper than going to an actual therapist. But it's you can't help but smile and feel better. Here comes Susan. Hello, girl. She's the one rubbing up against the leadwood now. And I had a moment like that sick kid not so long ago. I have mentioned it before with this herd. Now, obviously, whenever we encounter this herd, it's normally quite exciting, and there's little elephants jumping up and down. He's going to fall into the water, that one. You see, Greta, I know the sticker's in the way. I'm not going to move now. He's hiding there. He's jumping up and down on his back legs. So when I have really peaceful encounters where we basically had the entire herd come around the car and go to sleep for 15 minutes, was spectacular. Susan, don't cause nonsense. That's unnecessary behavior to do to that cow. Stop it. She's not interested. She tries to rile everybody else up and go, let's get the car, let's get it. And then they don't care. They're just like, just for goodness sake, Susan, leave the people alone. Well, that's what I imagine that the other elephants are saying to you, because you can see them. They just walk past, no problem. She's not paying us any attention today, though, yet. Hello, girl. Yes, you're always a little bit weary of the cars. It's still us. You should know me by now. It's okay. This is so lovely. Oh, goodness. When you stay seated for a bit, not driving around, the sun is quite warm. Okay. We're waiting. We're just going to sit here patiently. We'll see if Susan does come and say hello. I don't mind it if she doesn't. That's another elephant. That one's not Susan. So we can tell because it's got similar tusks but doesn't have a hole in its left ear. There's so many Susan lookalikes. Hello. Because Susan's been left behind. Now she's probably going to, she takes it out on us because we made her get left behind. Hi, girl. She's just got the water in her mouth now, letting it run out slowly. Push that one. Come on, Susan. On you go. Oh, the tables have turned today, girl. You're getting a shove. She's normally the bossy one. Oh, completely ignoring us. What a surprise. Bye-bye. Thank you for being well behaved for a change. Funny how some days she just gets a bit of a bee in her bonnet and she needs to throw her weight around. And then other days she just really is like completely blasé and doesn't care about us. It's nice. I don't know if I can handle the adrenaline all the time from Susan. It's exhausting. But Leopard Dam is completely full. You can actually see that this was a road, but now the water is so full and has covered the road, so we have to take a detour to get around.
For the month of January 2021, we are offering a chance to win a unique Wild Earth expedition to the magnificent Tswalu Kalahari. From the ancient Korti's Koranenberg Mountains to the southern Kalahari's red sand dunes, Tswalu offers what travelers crave most: space and time. The winner will explore this landscape in a vehicle, on foot, or on horseback, with a chance to go behind the scenes with Wild Earth and of course meet the meerkats. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend at the luxury Motse Lodge, including flights from either Johannesburg or Cape Town. Open to all Wild Earth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply. If you love to watch Wild Earth, then we are inviting you to join our Explorers program. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic Wild Earth expeditions, join our guides for a chat around the fire, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn allows us to escape into nature every single day.
Hi, I'm Mike Anderson, and I come to you live every day from Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy in South Africa. The wild animal I think is most underrated. I think buffaloes are the most underrated. They're so tenacious and ferocious, and also very, very protective of each other, which I find incredible. You know, sometimes people think of the big five, they just think of lions and leopards and other big animals, but I think buffaloes are pretty underrated.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's get this bird here on board. What is he? Looks like a Wahlberg's eagle flying. Flying up, another bird of prey. Wahlberg's eagles are often very easy to identify because when they fly, their tail is very straight, very rudder-like. But when they're flying low and they're trying to get a little bit of altitude, like this one is, you can see he's flapping, the tail fans out. But as he starts to get a little bit of height, he will then narrow that tail again. You can see it's quite narrow. Off it goes. Good time of year for the Wahlbergs. They're here breeding. Got a couple of breeding pairs around on the property. And through he goes. Well done, Paul. Well done for following. You must have been a sports cameraman at one point, eh? Following the golf ball. Is that right? Yeah, no sports camera? Ah, okay, well. I'm always impressed when you see that cameraman following the golf ball. Or you sometimes see a guy filming the rugby and he completely just, the ball's there and he's gone off this way. Always very interesting. Okay, well, the sun is beating down through the clouds. The clouds were pulling in, and I had my jacket on and I was preparing myself for some rain. And now the sun is just burning it all away again. So that's what happens when you prepare yourself. When you don't prepare yourself, then the rain decides to make you rather wet, which is what rain does. I've never had dry rain before. Normally very wet rain. Smell some fresh elephant dung there, filled with fruity marulas, which is what Trista was talking about. The marulas are probably making them quite sort of naughty. Well, Taylor, she spent lots of time with elephants. She spent lots of time with very naughty elephants as well.
Right, so they've finished their drink. And we're basically parked in exactly the same position we were yesterday when we watched the herd on the Sunset Safari have a bit of a dust bath. They're doing the same thing. This is the official dust bathing spot after you covered yourself in water or had a drink at Ndlovu Dam. Not Ndlovu Dam, Leopard Dam. Why did I say that? And all just coming out now, slowly, slowly. They're not really in much of a rush. They're kind of just taking it easy. having what I would assume is a mid-morning siesta. You can see that cow, she's the biggest cow in the herd, just standing very quietly. The little calf is trying to suckle. Well, not the little calf, it's a much older calf. So we'll just see what they get up to. There was quite a bit of rumbling just a moment ago, just before you came to us. There's one or two of them are not very happy, but it could be a number of different things. It could be politics within the herd. The wind definitely could factor in on that. Okay, well, at least she's relaxing. You can see the little calf now just behind her, also going down. Oh, I'm just going to roll around in the sand. It's much easier than trying to throw trunkfuls over my entire body. Such a beautiful scene. They are going to have a siesta here. The little one's now using mom's shade. Carly, elephant calves will suckle for quite a long time. So it really just depends on the birthing intervals. So typically it's around 4 years or so, maybe up to 5 years. As long as mom's producing milk, the youngest calf always keeps suckling. But that calf that we just saw now, its tusks are coming through, pretty close to about 4 years old, I would say. And that female does look heavily pregnant. She's bulging from the sides. The mammary glands are very, very swollen. And in this area, the elephants normally give birth anywhere between every 3 to 4.5, 5 years. So they have a long gestation period of 22 months. So they carry those calves for a long time. But they also start to eat vegetation quite quickly. For the first year of their life, they're definitely suckling more, but they've really started learning. Even just after, a couple of weeks, you'll see them investigating and picking up bits of grass and trying to train their trunks to put the grass in their mouth. So they're not really eating much, but they've already started to, get the taste. They'll often eat mom's dung in order to get various microflora into their bodies, sort of bacteria that they haven't produced. And they'll eat that. You see that quite often. So it's sort of a combination for those first few years of their life, suckling, and then of course also eating vegetation. This time of the year is nice though. You'll see all the elephants eating marula fruits, although I haven't noticed any of the bigger trees out on the reserves, but definitely around camps and where we keep our vehicle and charge all our equipment. There's some big marula trees in there, and they've started dropping lots of fruit, so I think the other trees are going to follow shortly. And then we should see the elephants shaking trees, which is quite spectacular. I know Tristan was talking about it the other day, about elephants shaking the fruit off of marula trees. It's something awesome to see. It really gives you the chance to see how powerful an elephant is, just by using its trunk and its head and doing a very small motion. It's not moving its head much. It's not like running into the tree and slamming their head and trunk against it. They just sort of stand there and shake it slightly, and those marula trees get big. I'm just going to watch again behind me so I apologize if you do see my head. There's just a cow just coming off to the right. I'm actually going to move back here. I just want to give her a bit of room because you're right in her way. Okay, girl, come on. You keep coming. Yeah, girl. So all I did there was, some of the other elephants have taken a different route. We remember this cow she's actually the biggest elephant in the herd. She's got a little notch in her left tusk. So I think that this elephant is the matriarch of Susan's herd. She's quite big. Also very round, hey? You see the next little baby elephant in mom's stomach, just on the right-hand side of the screen. That big bulge there is an elephant. Look at her. Shoo, goodness gracious. She's been like this for a while. Really, really heavy, so she must be due soon. I say this, but I actually have no idea when she's going to give birth. It can take quite some time. But it's nice that we see them sticking around here, and we'll definitely know if there's a little elephant, a new little elephant in the herd. But you can see she's very wide. I don't know if you can hear the rumbling. A bit of interaction there. Now, some of them are not so happy. The big cow I think she just wants to dust bathe, and the others don't want to move out of the way. Gary, now you've inquired if elephants or calves will ever use their trunks to suckle. No, they use their mouths. Their trunk is really only used for drinking. So they suck the water up, and then they spray it back into their mouths. And then of course they use their trunk for other things too, pulling vegetation off of branches, pulling grass out, picking fruit up. Very accurate with those little trunks. Not this little one though. It's learning, but it hasn't quite got the trunk skill level as an adult, with having the most muscles in the entire body of an elephant. It takes them a bit of time. Now this elephant is half red. That's actually very, very sweet. It'll make for a lovely photograph. Next one is also going down. You can see they're not as effective when they take a little trunkful and throw sand on themselves. That one's really not winning. It hasn't worked out that you probably shouldn't stand downwind and try and dust bath, because, well, especially not on the left-hand side of your body, because all the dust you can see is just blowing off to the left, so it's not really doing much. I'm just waiting to see if that big cow moves off of the road a little bit, and then I might edge on forward, because the younger bulls are just off to the right. And then we'll also be able to see the little elephant a bit better, but I'm just gonna wait a little. Come on, take one more step. Mekanova, yes, the shape and size of an elephant's tusk is definitely due to genetics, so it is inherited. I would imagine that they would have similar sort of shape, but sometimes shape can be affected after the tusks start coming through. They might break them, and that could change the shape. Or like we saw that one cow, she uses her left tusk quite a bit. She's got quite a obvious notch. Can I go forward for you? That cow's now moved a little bit more off the road. I'm just going to inch just past this bush. I'm actually going to switch a car off and do this. Oh, someone is hurtling towards us. There we go. Just going to stay like this again. I've just unfortunately got to sit up and just watch all the elephants. I'm going to lean back. So that's why we're not really seeing very many tuskers, is because of hunting and poaching, but I'm talking like hundreds of years ago, a long time ago. Centuries ago, really. It's had a huge effect on tusk development in elephants. That's why we don't see the great tuskers. We just get to see them every now and then. So lucky to see an elephant like Ezulwini, for example. He's beautiful. He's definitely the biggest elephant that I've seen in terms of tusk size, and actually maybe in body size too. He's a giant. Those little ones that look like they're having a bit of a wrestling match, kicking one another as they're laid flat on the ground. Isn't that lovely? Oh no, trying to get up. Well, there's a third one in the mix now as well. It's difficult to see with all the legs in the way. It's also a good spot for those young elephants. Now they really don't have to do any work with dust bathing, because all the other elephants will throw the sand on themselves and it will just drop down onto them. Okay, work smart, not hard. No, I'm joking, you should probably work hard as well. It's a little dragonfly that you could see just moving around. There's quite a few dragonflies, as you'd imagine, around a big watering hole like Leopard Dam. This is such a cool herd of elephants. It's been so nice to get to know them and watch them grow. Here's Susan, just standing on the right-hand side. Just trying to get some sand too. She's not really doing a very good job. Oh, there we go. Now she's scooping up. Uh-oh. Oh no, one is up. That means I'm going to jump on you while you're down. Susan. Sorry, I'm just watching Susan has just chased a bull away, but straight towards us. It's unnecessary. Come on, little one, you can do it. There's your moment now. Oh, I'll just lay next to you then. That's so precious. And look at them. Don't tell me that these elephants, again, are not having fun. They're having the time of their lives. Even that bigger one is like oh, I'm going to get in that hole. Izzy, yes, occasionally some of the bigger elephants do step on the little ones. Not like as in whole foot and squash them into the ground, but they sort of bump them, and I reckon they stand on the back of each other's heels quite a bit. So that type of thing happens. I'm sure sometimes an elephant must stand on another elephant's trunk, and if you're little, you probably stand on your own trunk when it starts to get long enough. So that does happen occasionally. Sorry, I'm going to go down. There we go. That's better. Well, when that happens, of course, the younger elephant will let out a loud trumpet. And everybody will know about it. Oh, downhill. Yes, you can't roll that way. It's desperately trying to get up, but gravity is not on its side. There we go. That's better. Much more graceful. Perhaps I was trying to do the Jackie Chan jump up, you know. You don't use your hands? Probably not, though, because it's an elephant. Funny how they all have turns to come and dust bathe. Oh, it's so cool. I'm glad we're not parked on the other side of them today, because we'd be absolutely covered in all of that soil. It'll be very dramatic. Hopefully this elephant tosses some sand right into the front of its face. It'll create a nice bit of war paint. Oh, thank you, elephant. Almost. You're going to do a bit more, though. Goodness gracious, in a minute you're not going to be able to see anything. How awesome is that? And if you do take screenshots, please remember to share them with us. We love to see them. Yup. Always good elephants. Oh, well, if I could say the name of the animal correctly, that would probably help. Yes, Heidi. Always good elephant sightings here at Pridelands. It was just amazing. I like absolutely love it that I've been able to follow certain herds for months and months. I do miss the Alicia Keys herd. That was quite a cool herd of elephants too. I haven't seen them for a very long time. So I suspect they've probably moved into Baluli, or maybe gone into the Klesiri or Timavati, or who knows, even headed all the way to Kruger by now. They've been gone for so many months. Oh my goodness, if I could only just show you, can I, oh no, it's finished now. I was going to try and show you what was going on. You could probably hear the splashing. So there's that elephant and another elephant that were just playing around in the water, in the shallow water, chasing one another. I don't really want to get in the way of the elephants dust bathing. And the last of the group. The last one's out of the water, and of course they're the young bulls. With bright white tusks, nice and clean now. Oh, lots of pushing and shoving going on. It's not very nice. Careful where you put those tusks, mister. We've been noticing lots of the young bulls have got scratches on them at the moment, but I think with all the bulls in must that we've seen, we've had Ezelweenie come through in must, we had Dex in must, there was that one tusked elephant bull, I almost couldn't say that sentence either. He was quite big. I don't think we got him live, unfortunately, but he was in must at one point. Well, there have been lots of pushing and shoving, lots of excitement amongst the youngsters. They've had a couple of scratches on them. Just sort of surface wounds though, nothing too serious. And here we go. Sorry, you have to watch it between the sickle bush, I'm afraid. They're just playing though. Oh my goodness, Gert, look at that one on the left that's gone into the wattle, into the Pulsiforum. Right back down onto its hind legs. Up you get. If that one fills up with water, that'd be a great little wallow for the warthogs. They're all taking their turns. They're all so fascinated about that hole. Are you going to go down? Look at they all get there. Oh, there's lovely loose soil there, that's why. It's also a little bit wet. Sorry, I keep popping my head up just to have a look that no one's trying to sneak up behind me, so apologies when you see this. Yeah, that sand is sticking on your body much better than the fine dust. What a beautiful moment here with these elephants though. And I think we'll maybe head around and see if we can't get one last view of my favorite elephant.
Starting to get really, really hot on Phinda. So we thought we'd just come and have a look at this waterhole quickly. And look at what we've found. There's a tiny, tiny, tiny baby hippo. If you look just to the left of that big one, you'll see there's a really, really small, and it's even still a bit wrinkly. If you look at the main part of that hippo, the bump just sticking out, you'll see it's actually a little bit wrinkly. And trying to come past. And some of you that have been watching before might recognize this waterhole. If you look down below the hippo, there is a huge amount of little crocodiles. Oh, we did see that around about 50 at the most of these little crocodiles, and you might also see just the top of the head of one of the big crocodiles. It gives you a nice idea of the scale. And those little ones are only around about 30 centimeters. All just getting some sun, trying to warm up for the day. But going back up to that little hippo, so we saw it for the first time about 3 days ago. And so we think that that little hippo is probably only about 3 days old. And shame, if you look at Mom, she's sacrificing her own comfort for her baby, which is quite normal of mothers. You'll see her skin is really, really dry. And that's because she has to lie in the shallows so that her baby is able to breathe. The baby has to be able to stand up at least on its back legs and just pop its nostrils out to breathe air. So, man, what we've been seeing is Mom has to lie on her left side and then lie on her right side. But yeah, as I mentioned, it is getting very, very hot and there's no shade around here, so we're going to keep moving from here.
we're just sitting on the edge of quarantine now. We didn't have any more luck with Thandi or Thandi's cubs, so we just decided to come slowly home and we're just enjoying the beauty that is quarantine. It's a nice place just to sit at this time of the day. There's kind of wind blowing across, and the wind is going to get, I'm afraid, unplayable by this afternoon. They're expecting the wind to go as high as 95 kilometers an hour by this afternoon, potentially. So we need to enjoy the good weather while it lasts. Although it does say tomorrow is going to be very, very hot. So maybe the wind will drop a little bit and then pick up again before that cyclone starts to make its way this way. Pretty though. It's just kind of an epitome of summer. Marula trees filled with leaves, blue skies, little puffy clouds, and bright green grass kind of blowing in the wind. Just need an ellie, that's all we need, under that marula, and it would be absolutely perfect kind of way just to spend the last parts of our morning. Alas though, there is no elephant anywhere around on this part. There's all the elephants seem to be on Chita and kind of to the east of Djuma, there on the Mulawati side. I'm sure they'll come up at some point. There's, like I say, lots of marulas up in this part. I think there's a warthog. Didn't even see that. Busy running away from us. All right, warthogs. I was hoping we'd get them on camera, but they literally, it was like 1 second view of tails disappearing in the grass, which is par for the course when it comes to warthogs. All right, I think we're going to slowly probably bumble home. Hopefully there'll be something of a surprise on the way home. But otherwise, if not, we'll see you guys later.
Welcome back, everybody, to the end of this wonderful Thursday morning. The sun is beating down now. We're just having one last little scratch around on the western side of quarantine. So I'm almost certain that whatever cats, leopard-wise, are around, apart from the one Tristan saw this morning, are on kills somewhere. The fact that there's water in abundance means they don't have to go anywhere. So they're not going very far. So we need to find those areas, and you often have it after rain, after wind and storms, that the leopards make kills, and then they're on them for 2-3 days. If they don't have hungry cubs to eat it all, they have to go hunt again. So you're just going to have to keep searching. Suddenly, out of nowhere, you'll see all the tracks again as the food gets demolished and animals have to start moving for food. But because there's so much moisture around, there's puddles everywhere. So if a leopard was in the drainage line here in a kill, you would have no idea until she or he eventually came out. But that's all right. It's been a splendid morning out nonetheless. We've thoroughly enjoyed bumbling around this morning. Haven't found a single fresh leopard track. That's why I'm saying, or lion track. Hyena tracks seem to be covering everywhere, as they do. I've yet to see a hyena since I've been back. Even in camp, they're normally quite sort of... Just the other day, one walked into camp and said, "There's one," and I turned around, it was gone. So they're avoiding me. They seem to be avoiding me. That's all right. They will materialize soon enough. They're all hiding. The den was inactive again this morning. Maybe with the rain, they've moved. We'll have to try and figure that out. There's a couple of possible areas, but we do thank you, everybody, for your diligence and your questions and comments this morning. We look forward to hosting you once again from Djuma and all of our other wonderful locations this afternoon, same time and same place. Until then, have the best day further. We'll see you later. Goodbye.